Got till 5:15.
Great.
Cool.
Great. Sounds good. We're live. Welcome to 6G Agenda. We have a banger episode coming for you with Ben from End of the World News again. He's back with us. We're going to get into the recent events involving the Epstein Files. And it's going to be might be a marathon episode, so get ready. It's going to be awesome. But Ben, how you been?
Just watching the clown show they call Earth as it's crumbling down in front of us. We'll see what happens. But yeah, definitely an interesting week.
Yeah, 1000%. Last week felt like a lot of things were happening at once, and then they finished it off with the Epstein Files, and now they're giving people that to kind of brew on. It's funny, we're coming up on that Super Bowl. There's going to be probably 2 Super Bowl shows. I think that this whole civil war in the air kind of aspect, of course, it's timely, and of course you have to have 2 Super Bowl shows, one for the right and one for the left. So this is just insane.
Yeah, right. You got to keep us locked in that 2-party paradigm because that's how they control us.
Exactly. And drive that division home.
Right.
So, yep. So, the Epstein Files, I think a big part of that does have to do with that aspect of it, is, you manufacture that outcry that you need, guess what's not going to be blackmail and sex and, things like that. AI. If you have AI as your government, you don't have to worry about this Epstein situation. So these are, aspects I feel like that, we're kind of leaning that way pretty quick.
Oh, I think you nailed it. And I was thinking about it. I don't think anything's going to happen. I think this is going to be swept under the rug, or an attempt to sweep it under the rug, so that people just get so sick and tired of having this corrupt pedophile government ruling over this. When they actually do give us that option for AI. Well, at least the AI isn't scandalous. At least the AI isn't a bunch of pedophiles robbing us blind, right?
Right. No, it'll just rob your soul. So that'll be cool. So, yeah, welcome to 6G Agenda. We're going to get into it. Welcome in, Neff Hunter. Hell yeah. As I was kind of looking into this, I kind of took, I told you to kind of check out Program to Kill by David McGowan. Because I was listening to that, just felt like I needed to get back into that. I did a series called Jesper. It was Global Elite Satanic Pedophile Ring, just the acronym for that. But that's what we're looking at here. And I felt like it was very important to brush up on what he was kind of driving home in that book, Program to Kill. And we'll get into it. But mainly it was, it's a, like I said, global elite satanic pedophile ring, but they seem to work in multiple ways, whether it's creating serial killers, creating programmed people for like Project Monarch, a lot of these things. And it's like, where are the breeding grounds for this? And I think that sometimes it rears its head through things like the Franklin scandal, North Fox Island, Epstein. And here we are again, so I just, I think that that's some good context we're going to lay down first.
Or the Trudeau affair, right?
Of course. That's the other one I meant to say.
Crazy.
Exactly. And I don't know if you checked out my Jesper series, but I don't know if anybody's done this, but I tied the Trudeau shit with the Chateau d'Amour. Is that castle that like human hunting and cannibalism, same kind of stories. Well, when you read the X Files, as far as the X, what do they call it? The victims. They called them X, 1, 2, whatever. For Dutroux, what they describe eerily matches Chateau d'Amour, the castle that was known as the Mother of Darkness. There's 3 witches there. Well, those kids talked about with Dutroux that they were brought to 3 witches type, and so there's a lot of parallels. And so I kind of brought those together as well, where it kind of adds that credence to this is one large network, like Craig Spence, who ran the Franklin scandal with Larry King. He also threw a party for Roy Cohn, a very close friend of Trump. And so, of course, you have that same generational aspect with these connected characters.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were talking about this before. Who was Trump friends with his entire life? The most prolific blackmailers in American history. I mean, he was literally mentored under Roy Cohn. And then for a long time in Miami, he was good boys with Jeffrey Epstein. And the only reason they got into a fight, from what I understand, was over a real estate dispute. So, yeah, Trump is 100% part of it. And he came out gaslighting everybody. He's like, I think this puts it all to rest. I'm like, what are you talking about? It puts this all to rest. But I think they're going to sweep this under the rug like they do everything.
Oh, yeah. I agree. So, yeah, we're going to get into it. So Program to Kill. let's get into like some of the highlights of that shit, because there is so much with it. I mean, we would spend multiple episodes just breaking that down. So we'll just do some highlights. But he kind of starts it off talking about how they want to enhance dissociative states through hypnotic trances to kind of control a split personality. The whole concept behind our silent weapon series I did as well, MK Ultra. And they talked about, torture methods like the Russian method, things like that. But I think the reason why I laid that down was to say that they've been doing this with children for a while for that reason. And then he kind of gets into the actual, proof of it, like the Finders Cult, where they find networks of people that are, talking to other people about how to transport these kids, full sex trafficking organization that has ties to the CIA. And then almost every one of these instances, you have high ups of law enforcement, political members involved in covering up these situations. Kids' testimonies being thrown out. And yeah, we'll get into it, but yeah, it's pretty wild, man.
No, I'm with you. And one thing that book highlights is that there's so many different organizations, right?
Yeah.
And I almost wonder if they're going to be using Jeffrey Epstein. He's probably up in Valhalla kicking it with, Charlie Kirk somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to use Epstein as the fall guy. And my whole thing is after, touching on some of the points of that book, it's like, who's the new guy, right? Who's the guy that's leading this? Because I'm telling you, these elites, I personally think are possessed by demons. I think it's the demons who are doing these horrific pedophile acts. And who's going to satisfy their urge to do all this? It didn't just stop with Epstein.
No, 1,000%. And that's kind of what he lays out, is that this is a network that's all over the place and connected people in multiple scandals. Like he mentions Aquino being tied to, I believe, Presidio, but also the McMartin School, where the tunnels were at, the preschool. It seems that there's a lot of military bases where there's elementary schools or daycares that you have these very crazy satanic rituals going on that these kids are talking about, going to people's homes, getting pictures taken of them while they're doing things. It just dark shit. A lot of it, though, over and over again, you have the drinking of urine and feces put on them with blood. And that's a classic black mass satanic aspect. Like that's all satanic ritual shit right there. But it happens over and over in all these different instances.
Well, it's interesting that one Epstein file that came out about the guy who was raped by Bush Sr. He says he watched them disembody babies and they're eating shit out of the intestines.
Yep.
So once again, that kind of checks out with that book.
Yep, exactly. I was going to get to that later. That's definitely 100% fucking what's going on. And, and also there was a couple other aspects on that yacht. And, it's funny because somebody mentioned a yacht. Peggy Siegel mentioned a yacht in one of her emails. And that guy was talking about how he had all that happen on a yacht. And, maybe that's where they do the craziest, dirtiest business, because you're in the middle of the ocean and you can get rid of your evidence. I'm not sure, but that's fucking crazy and sick. But what the one thing about it, he was talking about like black men and like little, white women that were getting whipped and knowing that they own, the porn industry and the major ones like interracial, just kind of the idea of like discrediting, just ruining or discrediting races in this kind of way. That's been a long theme that like Hitler talked about. And it's kind of crazy because I also think an aspect to this is they're going to prove that Hitler was like right. And then they're going to have another like crusade. And I just think that it's going to be done almost controlled by the Israel Jews, though, in a way where it just gets the people they want, and they come out on top. So,
well, let me read you a quote right now. And I've been posting this on X. This is from the godfather of Zionism, Theodor Herzl, right? And this is what he says. The anti-Semite, and I don't think you're an anti-Semite for questioning Israel. I don't think you're an anti-Semite for questioning Epstein or reporting on that. But this is what he says. He says, the anti-Semite will become our most dependable friends. The anti-Semitic countries are allies, right? So this only helps the Zio cartel and the prophetic wet dreams that they're trying to unfold, which is why I believe all these countries are involved. And as you can tell, Epstein literally has ties with everybody.
And this is why you're on here with me right now doing this, because what do we talk about? This exact thing, this fulfillment of prophecy through the Zionist regime, using anti-Semitism against themselves to usher in what they want. So very much 4D chess that's going on, but also easy to see once you see it. You know what I mean? It's
Oh
kind of funny.
yeah. Well, once you see it, you can't unsee it, which is why
Right.
when I go on X and watch these people talk about this stuff, I'm like, don't you get it? You are falling for the trap. Uh,
Yes.
you are doing exactly what they want you to do. I mean, I don't, as you know, I think all the influencers are corrupted, but that doesn't mean I don't agree with them sometimes.
Right.
And there is an idea to this idea of low IQ anti Semitism
Yes.
that actually works in the favor of the Zio cartels. And they actually want you to do that.
And that's why people ask, like, why? Well, you talk about censorship. You know, conspiracy people talk about censorship all the time. How come you're allowed to talk about what you talk about now? Well, they aren't censoring anymore. They're censoring now in a weird, different way where you just get shadow banned and only the people that like really want to see your shit will see it. But you're not getting to new people. But they're reaching new people. They're in like the algorithm of your feed, like things you may want to see. And so that is a different kind of, that's obvious that they're a honeypot, is what I look at that as. It's like, well, clearly they're out there because when you know about the Ethel mission, Project Canary, all that stuff where they're blacklisting, and it was an initiative for our administration to blacklist anti-Semites, right? And so I'm like, all right, this is clearly how they do it. They get a bunch of people to talk about Israel and Jews and Goyim, and then the people that interact with it, they see who's condemning that person, and they're like, all right, well, that person, okay, we don't got to worry about them as much. And who's like, yeah, fuck those Jews. And then now they've built this list, right?
I
So,
think
yeah.
one of the greatest things Epstein did was use the word goyim so much because the influencers are running with it. And I found it hilarious that Candace Owens, right, came out and was like, "Good morning, goyim," right? And everybody was like, "Yeah, yeah, you stick it to him." But when you start diving into Candace Owens, and we discussed this, and let's
Yes.
not forget, by the way, I'm really pissed off they released the Epstein Files this week and not next week because I really wanted to make a video about how her father was in charge of the security at Sandy Hook. And I had to put that on the back burner.
Yeah.
But you got to ask yourself, if she's connected to all this, why is she saying this, right? She's getting her orders to say something, and it's because they're manufacturing the consent so they can carry
Exactly.
out this fulfillment of prophecy.
It's got to be obvious whenever you see Sneeko, Fuentes, her, all at the same time, Jake Shields, all at the same time. It seems like they've got their little pockets of communities and they've been given their orders. But if you're a person like me or you, where you see all of them, you start to be like, well, wait a minute. How come you're all saying the same shit at the same time? There's clearly an initiative here. And, you know, that also brings me into the point of the biggest things that are coming out of the Epstein files, biggest things, the biggest push things is searching Goyim in there, right? It's certain things that serve that narrative. Oh, the torture. I love the torture video. That was Netanyahu. Look, he was in China the day that was sent when he said he was in China. It could have been many people that were in China, but sure, we could go with that. But it proves the narrative that they're trying to go with, which is this anti-Israel kind of narrative. Not to say that they're not at the helm of what's going on, but they're not the ringleader by any means. And when they have you pointing at one group, they got you.
Yeah. And that's what we learned about that book is that this pedophile network, I think a great way to describe it is the Gladio network, right?
Yes.
And this expands over the entire globe. I think each one of these, let's not forget about what's going on with Jimmy Savile in Britain, right? And
Yep.
each one of these, intelligence services that serve the bloodlines that control the country, I think it happens everywhere. I think they all have
Yep.
honeypot operations. I mean, some are a little bit more grotesque than others, but at the end of the day, Epstein was meeting with everybody. I think Putin came out maybe like 3 weeks ago or a month ago, and it's like, we're fighting the satanic cabal. We're putting our efforts against the Rothschild banking dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's pictures of him surrounded by Shabbat Lupich or whatever that group is. And you're like, wait a minute, what's really going on?
Yes. And him and Roseanne. It's very weird to put both of them in the same camp. But him and Roseanne do the same thing. They're eating babies. They're doing this and that. But she also says, oh, you go against Israel, you're going to have a problem, right? So there's this clear well, you are still like a Zionist. I mean, clearly. But you're also saying that these Satanists are eating babies. But you're seeing a lot of that come out now. Like the Nicki Minaj coming out as well, where they're pointing to the left and saying the Democrats are doing it. So they're trying to isolate it into one, like as if it's a left-right thing, which is just crazy if that even works on people. but I just find it really amusing. Yeah, because I think that that's going to keep going, but it's discrediting what we're going to get into in here, which is that they really are doing those things. Like Pizzagate was real, right? But not like in the way that we think of it as. It's not like it's real. They're just selling kids out of a pizza place called Comet Pizza in DC, owned by Podesta. No, it's that they use the code words pizza for those things, sure. And then they discredit by making that the narrative. They send a guy in who is the son of somebody who works for the Hillary Foundation, and he goes in with a gun and shoots one shot at like a computer, and then he heads out of there. And I can't believe there was no kids in there. And there's this clear campaign to discredit these narratives, or at least make it look like that's all there was. And see, we proved that it's not true. When in reality, like Chrissy Teigen and people like that are kind of like the jesters that get to out what they're really doing in this tongue-in-cheek kind of way. They're really telling more of the truth probably, than you're getting.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of what happened with McMartin Preschool, right? How that was very real, but they ended up using it as part of the whole satanic panic. And in that same light, they kind of used the Comet Pizza thing, although they were probably doing things there. But with that whole, psyop, they're trying to do it to discredit the entire movement. Like, oh,
Exactly.
no way they're pedophiles. And this is so dumb. They go to a pizza place and there's somewhere that, they sacrifice babies. You guys are so dumb.
Yep.
It's covering for this satanic agenda. And one thing I did find interesting is they want this to get out. They want it all over social media. I know Instagram was hammering me on censorship over the last, they're always hammering me, but more than usual for the past 4 weeks. But then when I posted about the Epstein, it just flew to the top.
Yes.
There's no shadow banning. They want this out there 100%.
Yep. And that's when you got to take a pause and say, what are the reactions they're looking for? What is the biggest narrative they're trying to push in the Epstein Files? And how much of this is bullshit? How much of this stuff getting pushed is the fake shit or the unproven shit? And then what's real and everything is kind of buried, right? And you're not really looking at that. And that's kind of what we're trying to get into is like, what's the real shit versus not? Of course, you're going to have like that guy that was on the yacht. Technically, that's unverified, right?
Yeah, right.
But if you only push the unverified shit on people like the Trump one, where the highlighted paper where it talks about Trump like doing some crazy shit, but then it says that they called that person back and they didn't answer, or they never were able to verify this phone call that they got giving a tip. And so when you get that and muddy the waters, yeah, it really takes away from a lot. And we're going to try to get into the real shit in there, though.
Yeah, and one more thing, to your point, they're also putting out stuff that to the normie will discredit it. But if you know a little bit about how this operation works, I know we can use the Bush one, for example. I was talking to my mom and I was reading this whole thing. I was like, and Bush raped this guy. She's like, oh no, I don't think Bush would actually do that. But then when you go look at the Franklin scandal, while Bush was vice president, they were flying boys from Nebraska from an orphanage, right? From a foster home.
Yes.
To take tours of the freaking White House where they would then be, molested by these DC power brokers while Bush was vice president. So if you know what's going on, it starts to make sense. But to your normal person, they're going to go, oh, this is too far-fetched.
Yes. And all this involved drugs, sex trafficking, gun running, which is why you had the ties with Michael Aquino, who had the satanic rituals with children and everything else, McMartin School. But guess what else he was doing? He was running the Iran-Contra operation. He was an agent in Iran-Contra running guns. And then other people who were involved in that ended up being involved in like Franklin scandal and shit. So there's a lot of this kind of crossover with these people. And then it makes me wonder, when you know that cocaine keeps getting mentioned with these kids in these files all across the world in all these situations besides Epstein, and this pink drink too, the pink drinks one too, that you hear about the GATE program, people saying that they were in the GATE program and they took a pink drink. There's something about that too that keeps popping up. But I wonder about the Arkansas situation with the kid that was found. Apparently he saw too much with the plane and the cocaine with Amina, Arkansas or whatever. And so they killed him. What if he was one of these kids that were involved in one of these ranches and maybe it went a little too far and they had to
Yeah.
cover it up or whatever. And that's what the story ended up. But think about it. The mainstream story is this kid saw too much with a cocaine deal and they killed him. Imagine what the truth is then. It's way worse. That's my point. Like, if you're getting that as the truth, as the mainstream story, then the truth has to be probably that he came from one of these satanic, like, pedophile rings.
Yeah, and I mean, going back to that one book, it's about, you know, the disassociated property of the brain and MK Ultra. I mean, think about this. You're feeding these young kids copious amounts of drugs. They're also having this, you know, molestation, this trauma happening to them. I mean, they're creating these Manchurian candidates, and I don't know if these kids even realize it.
Multiple. I mean, there was one kid they said had 4 identifiable identities, because they obviously that much trauma had happened that they split their mind 4 different times. I mean, it's just like the movie Split. To your point, this shit's out there. Like, they want us to know about this shit. And, you know, I heard Epstein say something when he was talking in this interview that we'll get into, but he kept saying Stranger Thing, Stranger Thing, Stranger Thing. And I'm like, why does he keep saying that when he's talking about like the unexplained quantum technology? And I know he's involved with this shit. And I'm like, this guy, where did they come up with that show name from? You know what I mean? Because the way this guy talks, when you listen to I don't know if you've seen it, but the Steve Bannon interview of Epstein
He totally
reminds
sounds like
me.
he has low T. I was
Yeah,
not, and it turns out he does based off of the reports, but I was
yes,
not expecting that voice at all.
not at all. But his style of thinking and conversation, it mirrors the Elons, Andreessens, all the people Joe Rogan has on his show, the way they think about the world and kind of interact with thoughts and the mechanics of life. Dude, it's the same. It was crazy because you could recognize kind of that shit. And yeah, man, it was kind of weird. You know, I'm like, all right, this guy may have a lot more influence than I even thought on people that are really, really right in our face.
Yeah, I wonder if that noticing that you did is that demonic presence within them. You know, I'm so crazy. I think all these guys, and I think that's why pedophilia is so rampant in it, is because they're possessed by these demons. And I think these demons want to hurt God or hurt our creator. And by going after these little kids. And one more thing about MK Ultra, you know, I almost wonder, and I heard this podcast of a lady who claimed to grow up in a satanic cult. And she was raised to be like some type of sex kitten for their ritualistic abuse.
Yeah.
And as she was deprogramming the multiple personalities that she had, what she realized is they attached, or this is what she says, and I think it to be true, they attached the demon to her. So I wonder if these multiple personalities are just multiple demons that they attach to them through this type of ritualistic abuse, this fracturing of the brain and the psyche. I wonder if it's really a spiritual, you know, raping of these people.
So what's your take on the idea of like loosh, energy harvesting, this idea that they're doing this to kind of get the adrenochrome? That's where the idea of that comes from, with the adrenaline gland, where you can actually get so there's a physical chemical property that happens where you could provably say that there's something that it can do for your body. So there is some reason to do it. But besides that, I always look at it this way. If there's a reason to do it scientifically like that, then there's probably some spiritual aspect to it too that that makes that manifest in that way. Does that make sense? I feel like it happens with God and it can happen with evil things too. And so if that can give you that, that's your benefit. But what are you doing it for? And is it harvesting that energy too, that of that person's trauma, that spiritual kind of loosh, right? I wonder if both of these kind of go hand in hand, right? So the person that's doing it, they're getting the same energy loosh kind of harvesting too, living longer, all that stuff, as is that entity.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with it 100%. I think adrenochrome is a real thing. You know, this ritual sacrificing involving blood is as old as written history.
Exactly.
You
It's no
know,
different. Yeah, I think
none.
that we were told like the way they sacrificed kids back in the day was like the spectacle in front of the whole town, and they throw the girl down the stair, whatever they did, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that's what it was. I think it was black masses taking the livers and hearts out and doing the same shit they're doing. I think it all was the same. I don't think it's different.
No. And I mean, there were those emails that were dropped. Who was that guy? Who was what's the WikiLeaks guy, right? Who I
Julian Assange.
Yeah, who I
Didn't
think is
he's doing?
controlled
Yeah.
ops. But anyways, they had
Yeah.
those emails where Hillary Clinton was joking that she was going to go
About
in the
Moloch.
backyard and sacrifice a chicken to Moloch. So we know they know these things. We
Yes.
know since the beginning of time, these world leaders and these royal bloodlines have been sacrificing to the gods in a ritualistic manner. So what makes us think that anything is different now?
No, and she was joking about the chicken because it was a little kid.
Oh,
And
really?
so
You think she was talking about a little kid?
yeah. I think that she was making a joke like, oh, people think I sacrifice chickens to Moloch. Ha, whatever. Little do they know I'm really over here fucking doing this shit. You know what I mean? I think that's, a little tongue in cheek on my part, but yeah, definitely a part of it. Yeah. I mean, the way that he joked about, when you listen to Epstein talking to Bannon and he jokes about, he said, are you the devil? And he jokes, he's like, oh, what? Why would you ask me that? He's like, well, I think I've seen that in a movie once, just kind of fucking around. There's one part where like Steve Bannon brings up Jesus in Nazareth and how he never wrote anything down because Epstein brought up all these philosophers that never wrote anything down and they let other people write. They were the thinkers. And he said, well, Jesus in Nazareth was the same way, right? And he goes, wasn't he a carpenter? So I'm like, oh, wow. You could hear that like, it was coming out, but it was in an interview setting where you could tell he's dialing it back a little bit. But when he joked about, oh, I don't want to see what came up on that phone because Epstein got a text and he goes, yeah, you don't, that kind of shit. And he's like, oh, you're a fucking bad guy or, whatever. And he just jokes about it. Like, he's like, yeah, I am. He's like, there's probably a lot more wrong with me,
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, let's also look at Bannon. Right. This is a Jesuit 100%. I read an article.
Friends.
Yeah. And, here's a guy who claims to, follow Jesus, although he's a Jesuit, actually trying to rehabilitate the image of one of the most notable, prolific child sex traffickers and blackmailers.
Yes.
He's 100% part of it. And, I don't know. You can't trust
the way
anybody.
he did it. The way he did it though was in this way where you're like, okay, these guys are buddies. You could tell by how they kind of talked at certain times. Mm-hmm. But also he would do shit like, well, what's a schmuck like you doing with the Rockefeller? Like he would try to play that game where he's like trying to kind of talk some shit or give him a little hardball. He's like, come on, quit bullshit me. But I think he was only that comfortable because of how close they were. To your point. Yes.
Well, that was all part of getting him ready for the media. So he was just playing devil's advocate. It wasn't like he was really objecting to him. He was throwing out hard questions to him that he knew the media was going to ask to see how he responded. And then he could correct the way he responded to these things. This was all about bringing his image back that he could walk freely.
You're right, because it was the full interview, but you heard Bannon in the beginning say they aren't going to hear me ask you any of these questions. And you can, if you listen to Bannon's rhetoric, tell that exactly what you're saying is the case.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's images. And this is what I also find interesting. I don't know if we've talked since then, our last time, but at AmFest, right? So here's this, Christian nationalist and talking about America first. And he's talking about the major problem is the Greater Israel Project. And that's like a lot of truth bombs to deliver to especially the Turning Point USA crowd. And it's true, right? They're reestablishing the biblical borders of Israel. And but I'm asking you what we all have to ask ourselves, because, the normal people saw that and they're like, Steve Bannon, yeah, he's speaking up for us. He's speaking truth. But I'm asking you, why is the guy that helped Epstein rehabilitate his image also talking about the Greater Israel Project, right? Something doesn't line up, something doesn't jive unless you understand, back to the point I always love making, they're trying to manufacture this biblical prophecy. There's a reason we saw the files that we saw. There's a reason why these people say these certain things. And that's all because they're trying to do this.
100%. So there was a place in Fort Worth, the Teen Boys Club. There's a federal investigation called Operation Avalanche. You can look this up. It involves celebrities, doctors, lawyers, like all the other ones. But there's something that stood out to me. They had a website called Cyber Lolita, like the Lolita Express. And I'm like, dude, it's in Texas. What else is along the border of Texas? New Mexico isn't it?
Yeah.
Or the border of Mexico.
Well, Oh, along the border of Mexico? It might be
Yeah.
New Mexico. I know
New
Mexico's
Mexico's on the
definitely next to
border of
Texas.
yeah, it's on the border of Mexico. And in the book, Programmed to Kill, McGowan talks about how all along the border of Mexico, on the other side of the border, they have all these like satanic cult ranches that they do where they literally have women breed babies just for satanic rituals. No birth certificate. Like they do it here and they just won't do a birth certificate, things like that. But they do it there and get a lot away with a lot more of it. Makes sense why Israel has such a hand in the cartel, etc. But as you
Well,
really take
you didn't
a
like
step back, it makes sense.
when El
Huh?
Chapo's wife came out wearing the six-sided Star of Remphan,
Exactly. Exactly. Showing her allegiance to the true kings. And so I'm like, okay, so his ranch is there too. And we'll get into it. I think that he was, yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, so I just think that it's funny because all along the border you have that. And they were talking about sweatshops and how they would have sweatshops in Mexico and they blew up. All these factories blew up. But so did like these kidnappings and missing people because it seemed like they were using these sweatshops to look at people and then like recruit certain people to go to these ranches and do shit to them. So it's sadistic for sure. But that Lolita Express, that little piece right there was crazy.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has an excuse for flying on Epstein's plane. When
Nope.
you know that he calls it the Lolita Express and you know what that is in reference to,
Tell the
I'm
people what that's a
sorry.
reference to.
So that's a movie, right? About like what, a 14-year-old girl or 15-year-old girl that has a relationship with an older man.
Yep.
And I mean, everybody knows that movie. So the fact that all these world leaders, business leaders, hell, you could even say religious leaders, I bet were on that plane. They know what's up.
Yep. 130% rise in child abuse from 1964 to 84. The satanic panic thing was to discredit this because at the same exact time, you had these serial killers running loose everywhere. Everybody's like, well, how come we don't have serial killers like we used to? Well, I think we do. And I think it's, still the same groups doing the same thing. I don't think it was just one guy the way that we're sold. I think that those were just literally groups that were so brazen. I don't know if they were getting caught, if they weren't good at it, what it was. And they use these people because as you look into these murders, like Son of Sam said that he came from a group of other like kids that were fucked with since kids. And, now he is the way he is and whatever. And so did Henry Lee Lucas. He was a Texas serial killer. And Bush was governor at the time. And he handed out the death penalty, the chair like crazy. But this guy didn't get the chair. Not only that, he got out of jail multiple times after murder, like served a year of 10 years, served, very short time. His mom was a satanic witch who would beat him and do shit and say, I'm going to make you my slave and shit like that. So he killed his mom, goes to jail for like a year out of 10 or 10 out of whatever, gets out. And then he told the parole board at his 10-year hearing, he said, I will kill people if you let me out. And they let him out. And I think they used these guys as useful. I think that they, used him after that because he went to the Jim Jones cult. He said he was the one to give them the cyanide. I think that cult was a front for this exact thing. MK Ultra satanic ritual abuse being done to create assassins, Monarch, Project Monarch with celebrities, whatever, sex slaves.
Question. Do you think that this one serial killer that you're talking about, that he was actually partaking in these murders, or do you think he was just a patsy?
I think that particular guy was partaking in these murders, but some of them are a little different. Like Charles Manson's, we're told it's just a group of hippies or whatever, and that's it. But I mean, there was graffiti, satanic graffiti everywhere. He was a part of the, it's going to escape me. What's that church? The church, the LS Church, I think it was called, or I'll remember it later, but there was a church that he was a part of along with the chick that he killed, the pregnant woman, Shannon. She was in there. So these people were all into this like satanic cult. And then he goes over there, does this like satanic ritual and they die. I just think that there's a lot more to it. And people got to go read that book because we can't go over it all. But I was kind of hitting the big stuff through it.
Well, one more thing to touch upon this idea that these serial killers are not lone killers. I mean, this idea goes all the way back to Jack the Ripper.
Exactly.
Dude, back then there was an idea that this was a bunch of killings by the royal elite. And they had made up this fictitious character, Jack the Ripper, to be the fall guy. So
Yes.
yeah, this is a tale as old as time. And that's the first thing I thought about because I actually read into that idea that, Jack the Ripper is actually multiple guys. And then when I was brushing up on that book, I was like, oh my God, this is not a new idea. This is probably what all the serial killers are.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. And then David McGowan does a great job. He lays all that out. So, yeah, definitely people got to check that out. But I noticed in this segment of his book that talked mostly about the child like trafficking aspect of it, it matches this a lot. So I felt like it's very worth it for the context. And I think that if we had more victims, that were able to talk and come forward with the Epstein thing, we would see how much parallels there really were. But what was I going to get into next? Yeah. Yeah. To the Amfest point. Did you know that the new, she's doing something, come back to God or something, Jesus, I don't know, whatever, with this church. And the guy that runs the church is implicated in sex trafficking, like child molestation, all that, and other people involved with his church are. And they have Romanian orphanage, like some connection with the Romanian shit. So it all comes back home. And she's doing a show with him now, like on a tour or whatever. And so I'm like, it never went away.
It's wild.
And so
I think, gone.
I was going to say, and so also to that point, who works at TPUSA? Paul Vallely, a man who co-wrote Mind Wars with Michael Aquino, the same guy who's involved with Presidio, all these other child trafficking. I mean, come on, you can't hit it on the head anymore.
Yeah, if that doesn't give you pause to think that TPUSA is just a vehicle to manufacture our consent, or to brainwash us or to manipulate us, I don't know what will. That's who I was about to bring up because you brought that up yesterday to me. I was like, no way. Yep. Michael Aquino's co-author is literally working at Turning Point. I wonder what he's doing there.
So I was on doing a live with William Ramsey one day, and he's super read up on Aquino and all that shit. And there's a point where I pointed out the Vallely thing. He's like, what? And that was like the highlight of the show. Like I blew his mind. He couldn't get off it. We were like off. We didn't even talk about what we were going to talk about the rest of the time. We just went on to that because he was like, what? No way. So yeah, I think that's a huge bomb drop. It's like, hello, mixed with the Romanian orphanages, the Israeli connection with the military. Because again, the Fort Huachuca shit and the Romanian military base that has U.S. military. This whole book talks about, again, the connection with the military, like our U.S. military bases, all abroad, having these concentrations of this sex work with children and SRA.
It's interesting about the Fort Huachuca thing that Candace brought up. I don't know if I believe it or not, but the person who confirmed her story, that guy Mitch Snow, comes out the next day, and I believe he says not the son of Sam, but who's the murderer out here?
Oh, the one with you, where Zodiac?
Yeah, he comes out and starts typing that the Zodiac killer was his father.
Oh, God. No, come on. That's another one of these. I think it's a part of the same cult shit.
Yeah, right.
But we're noticing that the mainstream is getting very close to the truth, but just staying just far enough. Like there's some kind of just a little bit, just to keep you thinking that you're getting the real shit. Just keep you thinking that you're getting it because people aren't looking this shit up, No. I mean, think about looking through 3 million files. I mean, we're going to go through a bunch in a minute, but I mean, dude, it'll take forever. And half of it's just pictures of pornos he had.
Hey, shout out to all the, gumshoes out there that are, dissecting these 3 million pages, because if it wasn't for you, I would know nothing what's in these Epstein files.
Exactly. All right, so that's a good little context. We know that this shit has a system and it's everywhere. So let's get into Epstein and then we'll get into some of these files. I think the Epstein interview is great to kind of break down first. We'll talk about Pizzagate and the discrediting of that after, because there's actually an email thread that pretty much they lay out that they're going to discredit Pizzagate. We call it Pizzagate. They're going to discredit their spirit cooking with Pizzagate. So he literally talks about covering it up. We'll get into it. I've got the EFTA number. So we'll get all that shit going. So Epstein joined the board of Rockefellers in 1989. How? He was asked by a money manager, and he worked with Nancy Kissinger along with David Rockefeller, and they became real good friends. And his whole thing was he was talking about merging politics and business. And so they created the Trilateral Commission while he was with them. He was heavily involved with the Trilateral Commission being made. He jokes about people thinking it's Illuminati, but then says it's a bunch of businessmen and politicians and they're all created. You know what I mean? Like kind of describes like what I would imagine would be like the Illuminati in a weird way would be that coming together of business. Anyway. And Trump was kind of the outward growth of his ideas, if you think about it, looking back. So he kind of talks about fractionalized banking, which makes sense that he's involved with Bitcoin. We'll get into that as well. And he talks about, Steve Bannon talks about how the 08 financial crisis, Jeffrey Epstein was in jail whenever that happened. And he was like, well, did you think about the fact that like you're this top money guy? Like everybody comes to you for money, questions, all that. And you work for the firm or used to work for the firm and made a lot of your money for the firm that kind of was the biggest one to fall in that crisis in 08. And you're in a jail cell whenever you hear this happen. Did you not think like, fuck, like I'm in jail and like all this, like this? And he literally was like, no. And he's like, what do you mean? Bullshit. He's like, you weren't introspective at all. And he said, no. And he just kind of talked about how he's like, no, I didn't, that would implicate that I was like feeling sorry for myself. He's like, I was able to make the same phone calls I would have made outside of there. I made 2 phone calls. And he's like, if anything was better because I had to decide who I would call. He's like, before I would call 20 people. So he's kind of like this idea of there's no good or bad. There's no like, it's just kind of do as you will and whatever happens, happens. I don't give a fuck. Like that kind of mentality, like, yeah, it sounds good just looking at that, I guess. But whenever you take that further, dude, that's the type of guy that really is doing this type of shit to kids and people. And he just has no thoughts or remorse about it. He doesn't even care about his own life. None.
No empathy for anybody. And
it's insane.
And that video, like I said, it's really weird watching him talk and his voice, that's what I don't understand why. Because Nick was going out. He's like, Epstein has aura. Epstein has aura. I was like, all right, I never really listened to him talk.
Oh, yeah. I saw that just before the show, yes.
And then all of a sudden I listened to him talk and he's got no aura. In fact, he's got low T. But real quick, yes. Cake, gumshoes, not on my 2026 bingo card. Tell me this. Do you remember the show? That's from the show Carmen Sandiego. Do you remember that show at all?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, so the lead person in the show that's leading the investigation is a black chick that looks like Candace Owens. And it's almost like they rebooted that show for the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Dude, I got to watch it now.
Oh, yeah.
It's hilarious. Oh, fuck yeah. I'm going to have to watch that. Man, he talks about Bill Clinton being the reason for the 08 financial crisis. I thought that was kind of funny. I'm like, all right, well, he's throwing some shade on his buddy. He talks about having problems and being messed up. He talks about why he bought Zorro Ranch. He said it was because Los Alamos was losing scientists. So he buys Los Alamos Ranch so he could have scientists from Los Alamos. The UFO place that's reverse engineering alien spacecraft and probing people's ass and putting them on a table and posing as aliens. I wonder why this woman said she woke up in a lab at Zorro Ranch whenever she was, you know what I mean? Like,
you think a breeding program was going on there?
I think there's something going on because as we'll get into it, there was an email that Isaac Weishaupt posted. I don't think he caught this. I did a show about 23andMe, Ancestry.com, and how the people who own and founded those are all Mormons, Israeli, or Catholics, which same people. And so, and they all create like AI companies after, and it seems like they're doing this. They're building a database of DNA and then using AI to kind of sift through it for them so they could do something with it. And Epstein was involved with Ann Wakoshi or whatever. And she's a woman who started 23andMe and it went bankrupt. So a nonprofit bought it because it went bankrupt because she wasn't listening. She kept giving people medical advice from their DNA test. And they're like, the FDA was like, yo, you can't do that. You don't have, and she just kept doing it. And so then they went bankrupt. So she gets in a nonprofit organization and buys it back. The judge lets her buy it back. And so this same person is hanging out with Epstein. And I'm wondering why. So anyway, this Zorro Ranch thing, I feel like has a lot to do with whatever the fuck, because as I'm about to get into, I guess I'll say it now. He talks about, he funds a lot of the realm of unexplainable. So the quantum realm. And he also talks about, okay, hold on, let me back up. Steve Bannon says, do you believe in a soul? Right? And this is after they talk about quantum science and the funding of that and calling it Stranger Things. And then he says, Yeah, of course I believe in the soul. I call the soul the dark matter of the brain, right? Dark matter, like quantum matter.
Mhm.
So he's referencing that the soul is in the quantum realm, that we can't look at it, but it's there. We can't perceive it, but we know it's there, right? This energetic realm. And this is how he thinks. Like, it was cool to kind of get in his brain for a minute because I kind of get what he's doing a little bit now. And so he talks a little later. This is where the bombshell is. He said, women have an intuitive sense for dealing in the realm of the unexplainable. So when you put all those thoughts together, this guy's saying he funds the unexplainable. It's like quantum realm, that shit, pretty much dealing in the world of like spirit and whatever the fuck else. And then also says that women have this weird knack where they pretty much live in that already, and they have this emotional intelligence that men don't have. And so men should, so we got to take a new approach to science. And I think that he was taking that new approach to science. And I think it was going on at Zorro Ranch. I think we've heard some stories about it. And yeah.
You think maybe, because I do know that when you start looking into the Rh negative blood, there's connections to like psychic abilities and stuff like that, and supernatural gifts that are way higher in that, blood type.
Yeah.
I wonder if these are the type of people that he was recruiting, and maybe that's why he was tied in with the 23andMe, and cared so much about genetics. I wonder if he was trying to breed like, Stranger Thing children, right? You saw that in the show.
Exactly.
They have a whole, army of these kids with supernatural abilities, and he was definitely into that stuff.
That's exactly what I think was going on. And that was the whole point of my see, it's funny. If you take the Jesper series I did and take the Silent Weapon series I did, one was about the satanic cult, one was about MK Ultra. If you put the two theories together, that is everything we're talking about right here. Really, there should have been one big fucking series, because this is all, it's all encapsulating. The SRA has to do with the MK Ultra to split the personality. You have to do the satanic ritual abuse, or at least something likened to it. And so it all goes hand in hand. And what's the purpose? Probably, yes, to breed this new type of person. It's very wild.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, Hitler was doing that stuff. A lot of people think when Hitler was talking about an Aryan race, he was talking about just white people. No, he was talking about Aryan mythology. He was talking about Atlantean mythology.
Yes,
And I think that's that Nephilim DNA that they were probably in search for. And
exactly.
yeah.
And that's why we keep seeing his birthday pop up so much. Like in the book, you'll notice Program to Kill, he calls that out many times, that, there's dates that they would use, like around Hitler's birthday, that a lot of these instances had ties to. Well, Elon Musk shot his first rocket up in the sky on April 20th. That's Hitler's birthday, 420. April 20th, 420, the weed head day. It's like, come on, dude. It's been kind of entrenched in us a little bit in a way where we don't even recognize. I think that that's very important with Elon doing the thing, the salute.
Oh yeah.
He's also doing the same thing that Epstein, as we'll get into it, with the insemination of women to kind of breed him. Well, for Epstein's case, apparently it was to breed him people for his rituals, but for Elon, it might be something a little different. I'm not sure.
I mean,
Same concept though.
I mean, I think Elon is just as crooked as them all. I mean, if you look into Elon's father, and the apple usually doesn't fall far away from the tree, especially when you're talking about bloodlines and curses and just demonic influence. His father literally impregnated his 14-year-old stepdaughter. And then,
Whoa.
yeah, you didn't hear that? And then married her and had another kid with her, the stepdaughter.
Wow. That's like Woody Allen, dude. Epstein
Yeah.
mentioned Woody Allen. He like mentioned something that Woody Allen said, like in passing, like it's a buddy of his or something. And Woody Allen like molested his Dalton, I think it was her name, and then also married like her later or something. It just a lot of weird shit with that. It's very crazy.
And I think that one book, what's it called?
Program to Kill.
Program to Kill. They actually mentioned that as far as when these allegations are made against these super famous people, there's an organized effort to wipe it right under the rug on all different levels of that. And he actually mentioned Woody Allen as an example.
He did. Yes, that's what I was thinking. Yep, and he mentioned that Dalton girl's name as well. Hold on, let me try to find this. Dude, so people put out like, oh wait, oh there it is, found it. Never mind. All right, cool. I was gonna say, dude, people put out these EFTA numbers and then you can't even find them, and I'm like, okay, so are they scrubbing it, or you give me some bullshit?
Well, probably scrubbing it too. Didn't a lot of the files or a few of the files after it was released, the government website, conveniently scrubbed them off the internet?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know the Paranormal Files guy, the Colin. Have you
The
seen
pa-
him? His
Wait,
stuff?
who?
Paranormal Files guy, Colin something or
I'm not
Colin.
sure. Probably.
He's like the blonde dude that does he does a lot of the stuff that has to do with this topic. But now he's like posting a lot of stuff with the Epstein, whatever. I'll show it later. But there's one of them where it looks like it was the art piece, but it looked like a spirit cooking thing. But I looked up the EFT number that he was showing and I couldn't find it because I wanted to show it on here. And yeah, I couldn't find it. So I'm like, well, fuck, I'm gonna have to just show his video, but I'd rather show the actual document because I feel like now I don't know if it's real. So that's the only one I couldn't verify.
Yeah.
You kind of spun there for a minute. We good?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah. There was a little
All right,
breaking
hell yeah.
in it, but yeah, let's go.
I know. It's like I guess I'm bogging down my internet.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. So this here is what I was talking about, this discrediting Pizzagate. It talks about, yeah, let me get in here. Okay. I attempted to contact you yesterday, but it was a little too late. I haven't been able to look at this yet, so we're going to try to find it. Jeffrey Epstein, after he was released from house arrest, who stated that shortly before she terminated her employment. Let me go down here. Oh, here it is. It is possible that this was an elaborate catfishing attempt, though as 2 months earlier, I identified significance of the case and brought it to the Waterbury attention. Unfortunately, knowing of some issues of the allegiances of the FBI and YFO, I took it to blank first, as my primary interest was in letting blank know that there was evidence to support her allegations. But current understanding is that blank sold that information to blank at AMI, but we're getting to the important part, prompting the shift from the vague spirit cooking narrative to the Pizzagate narrative within hours.
So
they spun the fucking story. So what day was this? 2019.
It almost makes you wonder, what were they really doing at the spirit cooking thing then?
Exactly.
Is it all fake? They're just doing
No.
it to be edgelords? No, man, there's something going on there. If they're going to
Exactly.
make up something like Pizzagate to steer the narrative,
Imagine
away
how much
from it.
worse. Imagine how much worse it gets if that's what they're, with the what they give you.
Yeah.
As an attempt to both intimidate victims and discredit blank when she returns as being a result of mass hysteria. Oh my God. So that's just one example, right, of this concept. So I guess while we're doing this, let me go ahead and I'll try to keep it like a good lineage of strings of thought. So I'll try to pull up that video because that was a spirit cooking video pretty much, or a picture that he had. But yeah, go ahead. Your thoughts there.
Hmm?
I don't know if you got any thoughts while I pull this up.
Oh, on spirit cooking?
Or
Yeah,
just
who
say
knows?
that whole thing.
Yeah, like I said, I think that well, actually, can I address one thing that someone wrote in the comments?
Definitely, yeah, go whatever you want.
So someone talked about how the Basque region has the highest level of Rh negative blood anywhere in the world. So isn't this interesting? No one knows where the Basque people came from. They have a language isolate that has nothing to do with any other language in the entire world. And one of the regions, I don't know how to pronounce the name of the actual city, but what it means is ones whose language was broken, which is a reference to Deuteronomy 32. And that's when God created the nations and changed everybody's language. So, and another interesting thing is that the flag of that region is a picture of two giants, right? So to your point, yeah, there's something up in the Basque region.
Whoa. Two giants in no shit. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah. And the name of the city means one whose language was broken.
That's fucking wild, dude.
Yeah.
You've mentioned the Basque region a couple times on here, I think, too.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a lot of shit
Cool.
in here. But I'm
Let's do
gonna
it.
try to pull. This is the one I was talking about. So unverified on my part, but I trust this guy for the most part. I mean, he's got some good shit. Oh fuck, I didn't share my audio. It's kind of worth it to do that. Chat, I'll hit you guys up later. I want to try to fit all this in for you here. All right. Let's get to it. Tell me if it's too loud or anything while I play it. I'm just gonna play. Oh, there we go.
Files appears to show human meat directly next to turkeys on a cutting board. So you can actually download and scroll through all these photos yourself, like I've been doing for the past few days. But at one point recently, I started to see people talking about this image.
Looks like a leg.
In file EFT.
Hey, you gotta bring the video up.
46032.
What?
Are
Oh,
you
my
supposed
bad,
to put-
dude. I forgot about that part. That's the most important part. That's the most important part. Hold on.
Just scroll down until you find.
Here, we'll just restart it. You didn't miss much, but
Cool.
This picture found in the Epstein Files appears to show human meat directly next to turkeys on a cutting board. So you can actually download and scroll through all these photos yourself, like I've been doing for the past few days. But at one point recently, I started to see people talking about this image. It is in file EFTA01646032. And you just have to scroll down until you find this. Now, this is a more full version of the photo that's unredacted. And as you can see, it appears to be a naked human or possibly a child with its legs up in the air, its face turned to the side, and it appears to be dead, almost as if it is going to be cannibalized next. So clearly, seeing this photo amidst other photos from Epstein's estate, like photos depicting CSA.
I'm going to keep playing it just because he points out the fact that this is supposed to be allegedly an art piece referring to spirit cooking.
Okay.
But I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. I mean, that's probably the worst I've seen. And I'm wondering how the fuck he unredacted it like that. Like, how did he find it? Because I couldn't find that. I looked at AFT to EFTA number up like 5 times.
Well, I wonder if they took that down. They're like, wait a minute, that's way too much.
Yeah, that might
You're
that was supposed to go in the other pile. You know what I mean?
And perpetrators, that's incredibly disturbing, right? Well, as you can see, this image is attributed to someone named Harold Seward. And as it turns out, Harold is a kind of macabre artist who has created all sorts of pieces of art that really push the boundaries. And he has been working in those spaces for years, for decades now, creating really strange art that is, to some extremely tasteless. And yes, I know a lot of people have been thinking that that photo might show a form of cannibalism or something like that occurring in the Epstein circle, but it's really just a piece of art created by Harold, at least to our knowledge. But to me, regardless, that begs an even bigger question. Why is this art sandwiched amongst CSAM? Why is this photograph, this extremely creepy photograph showing what looks to be the dead body of a child that is completely nude?
Yeah, that's a good question at the end there. Like, it's literally on the top and bottom. There's real people in real situations, and then they have an art piece.
Sure.
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that one was heavy.
That's wild.
This one I just saw as I was pulling up Instagram. This guy's really hitting it hard because I'm telling you, this is his wheelhouse. I don't know if you've never heard of him. Like, he only pretty much deals, at least a lot of his shit deals with like satanic pedophilia, all kinds of shit. Any instance of like this kind of shit. He does a good job.
This has got to be one of the most shocking and disturbing photographs I've ever seen in my entire life. And yes, this appears to be Jeffrey Epstein with a small child. This is what the file that this photograph was found in looks like. For some reason, it has been labeled highly confidential, and you can see the file number and everything in the bottom right. But I don't know exactly what's going on here, but this appears to be Epstein assaulting a child. This does not look like a teenager. This looks like a very, very young girl. And I think that that's something that's a little infuriating for me as someone who has studied the Epstein story and reported on it for years. In the mainstream media, you will hear stories that Epstein only targeted women essentially of legal age. Yeah, they might have.
Yeah, they keep saying, oh, she's 14, not 12. Like, there's a fucking difference, you know?
Yeah, that's what Nick Fuentes is really pushing right now.
Yes.
You know, I almost wonder if they're making Nick Fuentes go through a humiliation ritual right now, because he is just like, he is on a losing streak of all epic losing streaks, and he doesn't
Yes.
seem to be changing his tune. And I'm like, well, what is forcing this?
No, yeah, I think
Do
you're
this.
exactly right, and that I think he takes his anger out on the people in his comments and shit. You know what I mean? Like people that say shit
He's
to
so
him.
mean. He is so mean to the people that follow him.
I don't get it.
It's
I mean, I'm
cultic
not saying you
personality.
don't got to kiss their ass, but Jesus Christ, man. I mean, he's literally like, fuck you. Like the
Yeah.
whole time. That's all he says to him.
Here's $100. Now go off and die. That's what he tells them. I'm like,
Yeah, dude. It's crazy. Yeah, I guess they like that. These are sadomasochists that are his fans, I guess.
yeah, the gripers. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, well, and that's the thing. Yeah, the Groiper shit where he's who was that Groiper guy that said he's got aura?
Yeah.
So those are the only people pushing out that kind of narrative, or people in the Fuentes, sphere.
Yeah. And if you look at the gripers, I mean, like I said, the minute I saw Nick Fuentes go on a date with Catboy Cammy and look at him with those eyes, I was like, okay, there's something weird about this guy. He definitely has a blackmailable personal life. He's connected to Destiny and a number of these other people. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Nope, that's exactly right, dude. Especially after that gay club bus they were just doing, or whatever the hell that was.
All of them with the guy that does lip maxing, how he does meth and takes a hammer to his jaw and starts jawing it.
Oh my God, yeah.
To me, I mean, when I look at the red pill movement, I think it's all part of the greater depopulation agenda.
Yes, no, that's the point of the whole thing. Why we hammer on it is it's got nothing to do with like, I mean, yeah, it's the Zionist Jews. They're ushered it in through this particular way, but it doesn't mean that it's not really just a globalist depopulation agenda at its core.
Yeah,
there's no difference.
You want the population to go down? Well, you turn all the women into OnlyFans models, and you turn all the men into hating women. And what does that lead to? Depopulation.
Yep. He actually in the files he talks about making men more feminine. I think there's somebody that yes, I'll show you that. Yeah. So first we'll get into that just to finish off the Pizzagate side of this. I mean, this, Pizzagate, pizza and grape soda again. Somebody mentioned torturing pizza, I think, which was a little wild.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Pizza party was great. We had a lot of fun, stayed late. We all slept yesterday morning. Your night was good. I think one of these said it. Thanks for taking the boys for pizza. Was said he had to leave the fun. Hope have a great skiing. Be safe. Hold on. There's a pizza time. That looks good. The boys are really cute too. He needs to shower. Oh man.
Hey, and listen, if you're listening, I'm only laughing at this because I'm coping with how disgusting this is.
Yes.
It's the only way I can keep saying during all of this stuff. So I'm not laughing at these victims or what's going on. It's just so outrageous.
Yes.
That this is all I can do.
1,000%. So these ones were kind of shitty. Okay. I found better ones, but it's funny because again, these are the ones like you send some shit out there. It's like, oh yeah, that ain't that bad. Like, what are you showing me? You know what I mean? Jeffrey's getting fucking emails from other people asking him about pizza. It's like, well, you can't really prove anything with that. But there's a lot of better ones out there that, of course, won't get the views.
Well, I have a question. You know how in those FBI documents, how they kind of showed the pedo symbols? Was that idea that pizza is used as a term for pedophilia? Was that in those documents as well?
That was in the FBI document terminology for children and pedophiles. Yes,
well,
pizza, hot dog. Yep. Pizza, hot dog, ice cream.
What else are they talking about?
Right. No, I mean, really. Especially, he wants 49 hot dog or whatever the fuck it was.
Let me get this straight. This super elite person who has more money than, Satan.
Yeah.
Is talking with his other elite buddies about eating a commoner food like pizza.
Exactly. All the time.
All the time. Give me a break.
He's got the Talmud sitting behind him.
Does he
Steve
really?
Bannon, Steve Bannon calls him out for being like a rabbi. Like, he's like, you're very rabbinical. He's like, well, I used to be like a rabbi. He's like, yeah, you're acting like you're in the Talmud. Like you're arguing every little semantical point with me. And I'm like, wow, it's pretty fucking telling. From Jeffrey Epstein. Where are you? Now, this is the most damning one, I think, out of all of them, to be honest with you, so far. Where are you? Are you okay? I loved the torture video. Jeffrey Epstein sent that to somebody. I'm in China. I'll be back in the U.S. second week of May. But
People
love the
think that's
torture.
Netanyahu.
People think this is Netanyahu. They look up. I could show you right here. People got like a side by side of the date that he was in.
See, this is what
China.
I'm saying. This is, but part of this also is such BS because why is that person redacted? Whoever
look who sent
sent
it
the
out.
torture video, if they're really trying to tell us the truth, why is this person redacted?
Yeah, no, exactly. But also, I mean, Jake Shields is the one that, got the post out there the way he did, right? I mean,
Yeah.
April 23rd, 2009, just 3 days after Hitler's birthday. That's funny. It just keeps popping up, you can't ignore it.
Did you hear him talk to the Rothschild lady about how Hitler was actually very poor and selling his clothes?
Here it is.
And he
Here
found
it is.
refuge in a Rothschild.
Yep. Here it is. First, it turns out to be 100% true that Hitler was selling his clothes and artwork and living in a shelter funded by Jews. Epstein, Rothschilds, and Gutman. No conspiracy. The Epsteins were the Vienna bankers. Hold on a second. This looks like fucking AI, dude.
You think so?
No conspiracy. The Epsteins were the Vienna bankers, bought their bank on the ring, hence still Palais Epstein. Where are you? I'm in bed with your cold. What the fuck is that? Like, really look at that and then tell me that makes any sense.
It doesn't. And I always want, it's crazy. And this is, I wonder sometimes if all of this is
discredits.
fake.
It discredits, man.
Why are these, why are the worst people in the world keeping, emails with each other?
Yes.
Were they discussing this stuff? Like,
yes.
Why is that happening? Why are they leaving a digital breadcrumbs back to their heinous crimes?
Yeah. So Sam Tripoli posted that. And I said, dude, this throws the whole set of files into question for me because like this is clearly pushing a narrative. That's what this is. I mean, it's too blatant. Like they went a little too far with that one. And then now just reading it with you, I kind of read it a little deeper and I'm like, wait a minute, that's the way AI talks. It does this thing where it's like, not a conspiracy, it's this. And it like always says it. It forms sentences in these weird ways that only AI does. And for now, you can tell. Later, it might be more obvious. People like me probably outing it doesn't help. But I'm just saying that like, it's pretty obvious right now to tell if AI is doing it or not. It doesn't talk like a human.
Well, that's one of their tactics, right? They throw in a bunch of salacious stuff to try to discredit all of it. So if you don't think they're doing this with that,
yes,
they're doing that with this type of tactic in mind. I got a bridge in QAnon land to sell you.
Yeah.
But don't worry, it's cheap.
Hell
cheap.
Yeah.
And you'll save Israel for last.
I love it. Epstein discussed pushing transgenderism on minors with American biologist. Let's see how real this one is. Okay, so to Epstein. It is very simple. I will compare male to female with male to male. With greater molecular control over development, we are increasingly capable of producing novel phenotypes, more feminine men, by blocking testosterone receptors or castration in parentheses, and at the same time increasing estrogen production. The one blocks male features and the second encourages female features. More masculine women, we've noticed this. Tell me you haven't noticed this. Heavy testosterone dosage, incredible external effects, heavily bearded men, yada, yada. But I've noticed this very heavily. I mean, women that can't do normal women things, probably because of this.
Yeah. And, it's really interesting as far as, promoting trans and young children. Remember when Megyn Kelly was kind of running cover for Jeffrey Epstein, saying, oh, it's only 16-year-olds or 17-year-olds. There's a difference. I actually saw a recent clip of hers, and she claims to be a truth teller, a Christian on the right. When she was on NBC, she literally had an entire show dedicated to the brave children that had transitioned, and she was full on promoting this BS on the airwaves.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I also wonder if this is real. As I look at it, I'm like, it pushes that narrative, man. It really does. Look at it here. It says, now this is true. This is just fucking true. Well, not this part. the last part of this. Okay, sorry, I should have read what I was about to read first before I said it's true. This is true down here, but I'll show. Okay, the first is attractive. He is a woman with a cock, so that if your fantasy is to suck a man, okay. Otherwise, you're completely heterosexual. But down here, this is very true. The women, the female to male versions, are unhappy, lonely. They're men with mum pums, the worst of both worlds. But they're doing this to people, and like it's funny to them. I mean, he's making it into a joke.
Well, the first thing I thought of when he said all the technology they have was the gay spray that the army was trying to develop in the 90s. And who says they didn't develop it? And then when you see this rise of the LGBTQ community, especially in the past 10 to 15, 20 years, generationally. Now, I think a lot of that has to do with programming, psychological stuff. Yes. But who knows what type of chemicals they're putting in the food, what they're putting in the water to force this feminization of men and this masculinity of women, which, to your point, it's clear as day in this generation. I mean, I drive around in Uber all day long, and I think how weird it is. When people come in my car, I now have to take time to look at them and really try to determine what sex they are.
Yeah.
Like, we live in, like, the fact that that's part of my day, that I have to look and try to determine what sex somebody is, you know, it's right there.
Yeah, dude. Oh, man. No, you know, and then just the discrediting aspect of this topic is they're turning the frogs gay. Yeah. You know, that's how you discredit some real ass shit. Is you have Alex Jones go on and start fucking screaming about things that are kind of real, but not necessarily contextually true to the way he's saying it. And then boom, discrediting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Alex Jones is 100% intelligence operation. Bill Cooper called him out from the beginning.
Yes.
I think he was there to discredit the conspiracy community, but also I think he might have given out some truths in the beginning only to gain the faith of the future opposition, which he then conveniently helped usher into this golden age of Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and transhumanism.
That's exactly right, dude. And, you know, that's kind of what I was thinking with the transgender shit is like, if you want to get the rise to Christian nationalism and use them as, you know, useful idiots for this fulfillment of prophecy, you have to drive home the anti-God shit first. And I think that they did a very good job at being anti-white Christian male, anti-Christian in general, as they promoted all this to children and everything else, these hormone replacements, to give reason for people to kind of be like, all right, that's it. You know, it's done on purpose.
Oh yeah. Problem, reaction, solution. They just pour gasoline on the reaction to the desired effect that they want.
Yep.
Playing us like a video,
always at work.
Playing us like a video game. That's what I love about the truther community. Is that they truly believe they're waking up, but I'm like, nah, you're just getting played like a video game.
Yep. 100%, dude. Yeah. So I don't know if you saw this. This was that 4chan situation about him getting out and maybe having his body swapped.
Wait, what? Whose body was swapped? No.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So we'll read it all. Not saying anything after this. Please do not try to dox me. But last night after 0415 count, so 4:15, they took him medical in a wheelchair, front cuffed, but not one triage nurse says they spoke to him. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. We do not do releases on the weekends unless a judge orders it. Next thing we know, he's put in a single man cell and hangs himself. Here's the thing. The trip van did not sign in, and we did not record the plate number, and a guy in a green dress military outfit was in the back of the van, according to the tower guy who let him through the gate.
Well, it looks like my joke was right. He's actually chilling in Antarctica with Pindar and Hitler.
Yeah, he's chilling, dude. That's so crazy. So what is this? So this is United States government memorandum, Metropolitan Correction Center, New York, New York. On Friday, August 9th, 2019, at approximately 1:50, Gravalia passed on to oncoming staff member Officer Davis and present shift staff Shakir and Officer Joyner that inmates Reyes was going and possibly may not return. Also, the Epstein will be needing a cellmate upon arrival for his attorney visit. Oh, this isn't. I thought that was like proving that. What the fuck is this about?
Oh yeah. So what's interesting, I remember when this came out, when they were actually showing Epstein's body,
Mhm.
the dead body.
That's it. That's it right there.
Yeah, there were some differences in the facial features.
Yeah, like his nose here and
Yeah.
that curve. The curve on the nose there is
Yeah.
more than his actual curve on his
Yeah.
nose. You
Look
know,
at that. Look at that.
yeah, that's pretty obvious. I mean, the other
Oh
guy's
my
got a hawk,
God.
dude. It's totally different. No, I mean, it's funny because right here looks almost identical. That's
Yeah.
odd. That's odd to me, actually. Why that looks. That makes me think this is a perspective thing.
What do you mean
You know,
perspective?
I mean, I like to be objective, but
Yeah.
like this little slit here just seems so. It looks like the same geometry, but then this is straight and that's not. I just feel like maybe this is it's not a perfect side view. This is.
Yeah.
I don't know, but just figured try to be
Who
objective
knows?
here a little. Who knows?
It's
Probably
no fun to
alive.
be objective.
I know. No,
Stop
I'm not.
using your logic.
Well, I get so crazy sometimes with my shit that I
know,
like
I
to at
know.
least give some
have
saving
to.
grace.
You have to. I'm joking. Oh, trust me, I have a whole
2017.
I have
go
a whole
ahead.
podcast where I say everything's fake. So, hey, I'm with you
Yeah.
on that one.
You gotta have something, some saving grace.
Yeah.
2017 email, Bill Gates discussed plans for pandemic simulations with Jeffrey Epstein.
Sentient world simulation. There you go.
There it is, dude. Larry and I have been working on deliverables for my time since you and I spoke. And now I wonder this. What's up with all the typos? Like, this is another thing that makes me think this isn't even real, dude. Like, it's just constant. Like, why is the equal sign there instead of a K? Like,
We're talking about a guy that works for Mossad, presumably really smart money manager. And a lot of people actually, Whitney Webb has actually talked about that. She thinks a lot of the pedophile stuff was allowed to rise to the top. So you weren't paying attention to the financial things that he was doing because that's some of the most damning evidence of how this is one huge network.
Yes.
Of elites. But that's
well, he's the guy. He's the money guy that was like the middleman for the Rothschilds with this person and the Rothschilds with that person. As I'll show later, there's a phone call with him and Ehud Barak that you have a recording of him talking to him about Palantir, Peter Thiel, and getting him to contact him and Andreessen.
Yeah.
So there's 100%. He's the guy,
So how's he so dumb? How come he can't type a sentence?
Yeah.
He's typing an email like I type an email.
I know.
And I wasn't some big, money manager rubbing elbows with the super elite.
Yeah, it seems like it's one of two things. This is bullshit, and it's just proven narratives that everybody wants to hear. Everybody wants to hear that he was investing in neurotechnologies as weapons and national intelligence and defense. Everybody wants to hear that he was messing with trans shit or whatever, right? Like, people want to hear that, so it's almost like they're putting it there for you.
Yeah.
Maybe it is, but it's just, if there wasn't all these typos, I wouldn't even be asking this, but it's just weird to me.
Yeah. And you know what? Like I said, there's a reason they put what they put in there, vague enough so nothing will happen, but there so that all the people who already believe this are going to believe it more. Yes. And then when they don't do a thing about it because it is vague, that's going to percolate, and the hatred towards Mossad, the hatred towards Israel, the hatred towards Jews, because the algorithm is going to clump that all together. I'm telling you, it's all. Once I realized they're trying to manufacture prophecy, everything just makes sense.
Yep. No, exactly. And that's why I love that we got into that early on. It really helped me with my trajectory for this show, with understanding the context of what's going on.
Yeah. And all you got to do is look at the Red Heifer and the Third Temple movement. Like, that's not conspiracy. That is a long thing that's happening. They've raised a generation of priests. They have a network of, Christian Zionists who are growing these red heifers.
Yep.
And I think they actually did it. I think Adam King was telling the truth when he said, hey, when they said they did a mock sacrifice? No. That was the real sacrifice. There was just too much bad publicity around it.
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised. There's one white hair. Ever we got, it wasn't. Yeah.
So why'd you bring it back? If you knew it was messed up, why did you bring them back?
Yeah. No, for real.
And why not? And why not practice on a regular cow? Why do you have to practice on one of the red heifers?
Yeah, no, it's definitely just it goes back to exactly what you said. Just manufacture the shit. This talks about the Goyim dinner. It mentions a lot of names. I just want to show this because it mentions, I believe this is the one that mentions, oh, yep, here it is. Anne Wojcicki, whatever. That's the chick that her husband is like the CEO of Google. Her sister started YouTube. Her dad worked for CERN. She started 23andMe. So her whole family is just the fucking big cabal deep state, arm.
Yeah, yeah.
Very crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the same list with these people.
The
It's funny,
Goyim
Bill Gates.
dinner.
Yeah, good Goyim dinner. And it's funny, Bill Gates didn't go.
Maybe he was being a bad Goyim.
Must have been. Oh shit. All right. What? Oh yeah. This is from my. Can you still see this? Because I like just changed the page.
Yeah, I can see it.
So this reminds me of the new Sam Altman startup with his boyfriend.
Wait,
and they're going to be.
There's a new. Sam Altman. Oh, the
yes. Okay.
chatbot GPT guy.
Yeah, the alterer of man, right?
Yeah.
He's creating a genetic engineered baby company with his boyfriend.
I got a major problem with that. I got a major problem with people who can't procreate genetically engineering natural born babies.
Yes. Why? Why?
Well, I think they're playing God. I think that's part of their ego. I think that's the demon inside of them. And I also, like I said, I think ultimately everything these demons do in the back of their mind is, how much is this going to piss off the creator? How much can I disrupt the natural order in which God, our creator, intended to really piss him off? Because that's the one thing God doesn't want us to do, right?
Exactly.
Is fall away from his path. And just time after time, that's what they're doing.
Oh, 1,000%. And, I was saying, like, why do they have an interest in this? Like, what is your interest in fucking with people's babies if you aren't even going to have any? There's something else. There's got to be an ulterior motive.
Well, maybe this is just a stepping stone to the whole trans movement, right? So, hey, if it's okay with altering your baby's genetics, hey, wait 5 years, and then, hey, you could stick this, metal plate in your brain. I don't know. But this altering of the DNA, they want it to be less taboo, which it should be. And I think they're just trying to make it more widespread.
Oh, 1,000%.
And they'll sell it under the guise of altruism, right? They'll say, well, if you want to not have your baby to have any bad genetic markers or genetic diseases, this is why we're doing it. But hey, maybe it's because they actually want to change the genetics to a point where they're creating hybrids.
Yes. And, I got into this with Paul Stobbs from the Nephilim Look Like Clowns. And he pointed out to me in the book of Jasher 4:18, it said that they took animals and mixed them with other ones just to piss God off.
Yeah.
And so this isn't the first time that they've done this. After the Nephilim giants were all wiped out and killed each other and shit before the flood, man was doing this because they had the knowledge from them and they kept doing it. And so that's why God did that, because all flesh was corrupted. And that means in a literal sense that they literally had this technology already. And so I think it's just a revamp of that, to your point. Here it talks about attached is the document you requested. But it says here, use of funds spreadsheet. 2018. This gets us out of our self-funded garage biology phase to the first live birth of a human designer baby. 2018. Within 5 years.
That's crazy. You know what this reminds me of? And I actually watched this conference on YouTube because I thought it was hilarious at the time. But it was a bunch of furries holding a conference about CRISPR and how in the future, their babies will be able to come out as furries and they wouldn't have to wear costumes.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
That's
what they want.
That's what they want to do, right? We're just, we're humans, but we're just another animal. You can slice our genomes or whatever with other things and create something out of a petri dish.
Yeah. For real. No, it's going to get wild, dude. They want the fucking full-on Greek mythology pantheon back,
Yeah.
So let's check. This is kind of reminds me of like the memory holding of the internet, scrubbing of the internet. This kind of proves that they're doing this. So I think this is very important for context as far as like all conspiracies go, is that there are people that do this shit.
Your name plus pedophile in a direct search, no documents will turn up. So I thought this was a very interesting document found in the recent Epstein Files releases, and it shows that the world of Epstein was completely controlled at all times. And we all know that his image was manufactured. I mean, obviously it was manufactured by the government, but this document actually kind of pulls back the curtains and shows us the machine itself. So as you can see, someone named Al Seckles sent this email to Jeffrey Epstein, and the email reads, "I'm very happy to report to you today that we have managed to get some very positive results already. This was not the case as of yesterday when we checked, so the bots may have just made their rounds, taking our work into effect. If you type your name in Google News, the first article that came to the very top was the most recent suit from last month. And as you scroll down, there were other articles. If you typed in your name plus pedophile, you would get scores of results of news, blog, and other entries. Now, if you type in your name, you will see endless pages of Google News about every other Jeffrey Epstein, but you will not find any more news articles about you. Even if you type in your name plus pedophile, a direct search, no documents will turn up." And basically, they talk about how...
That's how they do you.
Damn.
We are in 1984. Like, we are 100% in it.
Dude, it's like with the whole TikTok app. It's now against community guidelines to type in Epstein. And they even made Zionists a, hate word.
Exactly.
I'm like, they refer to themselves as Zionists. What do you mean it's a hate word?
Well, you can't, though, because you're a goyim. You're right. You're an animal. You aren't allowed to fucking
I'm not Jewish. I can do whatever I want.
No, you don't count, though, because you're a self-hating Jew.
Oh, I don't count.
Because you're against Zionism, right?
Hey,
That's crazy.
Gosh.
Oh, man. So this was what you sent me, the Digital Currency Initiative. As we talked about earlier, he was very heavy on talking about, in that interview, about the systems of money and how nobody understands money. And that, people don't understand your whole body system. Like, no doctor understands every system in your body. That's why we have specialists. So he went real deep into explaining this. And Steve Bannon made him repeat his answer 20 times. But his answer the whole time was, it's a very complex system, and each system has a system on top of a system. And so that's how our money works. And I think he wanted to get us out of that fractional reserve current, banking. But obviously in a way that Israel could control it, or whoever his holders are. So yeah, let's get over to this.
To me, this has been the most vindicating thing ever, because my entire time I've been warning people against Bitcoin.
Yes, me too.
And its rise in value has been making me kind of look like an idiot to these people. But now, boy, was I right.
No, 100%. The way the Bitcoin is organized currently is that there are 5 core developers and around 100 contributors to the core code. The 5 core developers are like Linus Torvalds of Linux. They decide what changes are made. So they got a whole code system that they pretty much built. Created by the foundation and take control of the developers. We move quickly, talk to all the variable stakeholders, and 3 developers decided to join the Media Lab. This is a big win for us. And what day was this? This was 2015.
Well, there you go. We now know who Satoshi Morimoto is, whatever his name is.
Yeah. Epstein.
It's probably Epstein.
Yeah. Holy shit. He just sold 10,000
guys.
Satoshi Yokomoto just sold 10,000 Bitcoin the other day.
I wonder why. It's actually going down. I think it lost something like $3,000 or $4,000 this past week. And there's that one video going around of that old guy that was from a few years ago. I'll send it to you. Where he goes, if you knew who owned Bitcoin, you would sell it in a second. I know exactly who owns Bitcoin, 100%. And turns out it was Epstein Morimoto.
Yeah, Epstein Morimoto owns it. And, it's funny, though, because now I get skeptical with this, too, because Peter Schiff was just on Tucker Carlson talking about how Bitcoin isn't valuable and it's not good. And I was kind of surprised. I'm like, well, this guy you would think would be trying to push, if he's a part of it. It's just a weird thing. I haven't quite delved into that again, but
maybe they want to push it over to stable coins. But, actually, I was talking to my co-host on my podcast about this. Mm-hmm. She almost wonders if this use of stable coins is actually meant to destroy the dollar. And then ultimately the stable coins will go down too. And that's when they'll bring in the CBDC.
I think the stable coins would serve as a CBDC because they're all connected to central banks. The stable coins work with central banks And then the idea I think is that it would replace it, but it would be a controllable dollar.
Yeah.
Right? Trackable dollar. Everything's trackable, controllable, and decentralized was the biggest thing they sold it on. I was like, how do you see decentralized when you look at this? I don't see that. I see control. If the concept of blockchain itself.
That's it. That's it.
That's it.
Anybody who ever thought that Bitcoin was liberating you from the Federal Reserve, the fact that their main selling point is that there's a ledger that keeps track of every single Bitcoin that you can't destroy or get rid of screams the ultimate surveillance coin. That's what they should call Bitcoin, surveillance coin.
That's all it is.
And you wonder how people got caught on the dark web. I remember Bitcoin first got popular a little bit, not huge, but this was way back in the days because they were using it to buy drugs on the dark web.
That's all it was for at first.
I was like, wait a minute, these criminals aren't very smart. There's an entire ledger with your entire transaction.
Yes. Yeah. Now, the only thing is, like, you could use it to launder money, I guess, a little bit, because the idea is, like, you know, nobody knows where that money's coming from anyway, right? But yeah, once you start buying drug and all that, it's got to be trackable. It's so funny. The criminals go to it first. It's like, you've been had, dude.
Yeah. Well, I think they test a lot of their technology out on the more taboo industries or black industries. I know I've seen an entire, I don't know if it was a documentary, but I saw something where a lot of the stuff that we see in technology today, do you know they first tested out in the pornography industry?
Really?
Yeah, like I think they actually made a whole movie about it. I think it had Owen Wilson in it, like credit card processing, all that type of stuff on the internet.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to have to check that out. That makes perfect sense, but it's also who owns the porn companies?
Yeah, right. You know.
I mean, let's be honest here, right? That's crazy, dude. This is him talking to Ehud Barak, what was the prime minister of Israel, about Palantir and Peter Thiel.
But he wasn't working for Mossad at all. You know?
Not at all.
That was the biggest breaking news. Yeah, that was the biggest breaking news out of all this. Thank God you confirmed.
Yeah,
the fact that he worked for Mossad. Duh.
No shit.
There's two cyber companies. Look out, and even though I know Peter, I've never met Peter Thiel, and everybody says he sort of jumps around and acts strange, like he's on drugs.
Smoking, yeah. He looks under drugs.
He looks under drugs.
However, he has a company called Palantir, Pallentir.
All right, maybe these guys do typos. Because, I mean, this guy can't fucking spell Palantir. Pallen. Maybe they really can't. Maybe they're just fucking, they're just useful idiots.
You know what's interesting? I think what this also shows is that, you know, there are separate networks, right? Clearly, there's a bunch of emails that came out in the past where they were kind of courting Peter Thiel. And it's not like Peter Thiel was like being all altruistic before he met, you know, what's his name? Epstein.
Right.
But it's almost like there's this certain group and they're just trying to bring all these other jackasses into their own little club to do this.
Yeah, I mean, well, also, you know, Peter Thiel, he mentions in here that he gets like $1 million a month or something from Larry. Now, I don't know if he's talking about Larry Fink or Larry Page, but you'll hear that in a minute, and we'll have to look into that. I wonder which Larry that is. I mean, it may be another one, but I'm pretty sure it's just one of those two.
Yeah.
Palantir is Peter Thiel's company, and look at it.
Palantir, P-A-L-A-N-T-I-E-L?
Yes.
How you write Thiel? T-H-I-E-L-L-Y.
T-H-I-E-L.
How you write Thiel?
L-L-Y.
No. T-H-I-E-L-L.
Okay.
Fucking retards, dude. They spend half the time fucking spelling Palantir.
Peter Thiel is one of the best. I've never met him. He's going to come here next week. So I wanted to talk to him. After I talk to you,
okay.
He and Andreessen, it's called Andreessen Horowitz. Andreessen Horowitz, they pay Larry $1 million a year.
Oh, they pay Larry $1 million a year.
Wow.
I don't know who Larry is.
Lucky Larry?
I don't know. That's what
Larry Silverstein?
Yeah, Lucky. Yeah. Oh, yeah, or him. There's a few rich Larrys out there.
There is.
Just to advise them.
Andreas and
Andreessen, Andreessen.
But yeah, I mean, that's about it. They're gonna spend the whole fucking time spelling shit. So that's him getting Ehud Barak connected with Palantir. and all that shit. So there's that little connection as well.
But you know what's weird? It's like you would think that if so, what's it called? Epstein is not the mastermind. So is Ehud Barak the mastermind? But if you're the mastermind, how do you not know who Peter Thiel is and Palantir, which is a major player? You know, it's all. You're right. There's a lot of this stuff that seems a little fake. You know,
yeah,
like,
and it comes down to who does he work for? He says who he works for. I represent the Rothschilds.
Yeah, yeah.
I represent the Rothschilds. That's like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's saying it. He works for the Rothschilds. He represents them.
Well, and you can even take that back to the Knights Templars.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? Because
I think again, and that ties in with this, the Vatican. Why the fuck? Why is he connected to the Vatican?
Well, there's that picture of him and Ghislaine Maxwell going and, meeting with the Pope.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the one thing I love about Candace Owens in this is like she's calling out all the Israeli influence and these, goy hating Jews and stuff like that. But then she shills for one half of the equation.
Exactly. Well, just like here, Pizzagate. 100% real, 99% Democratic Party. Come on, dude. You just discredit it in one sentence. It's the same thing, man. It's crazy to watch.
And that's the thing. If you can step out of the mind control, out of the MK Ultra, you will literally find holes or inconsistencies in every one of your favorite influencers.
Exactly. Yep. Like, look at this.
Yeah.
No wonder he says Epstein's got aura.
Yeah.
He fucking loves him. He loves his style, his clothes, and everything. I was trying to find. So this guy, Panda something. There was a email thread between. Dude, my shit's freezing up. There was an email thread between. I
heard of this guy. I think he's going to be on the Nephilim Death Squad tomorrow. Panda. He's friends with Tupac
Panda.
Cabra.
Yeah, Red Panda.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to. He was going to come on here recently, and I got busy, and I'm gonna try to get him back on. But he posted something about Epstein messaged somebody, and this guy's big in the scientific community, and he messaged him and said that I need you to discredit or make it scientific outer body experiences. And this is another one that's like, is this fuckery?
No, I believe it. Because
I do too.
Because listen, he was really into psychic things, right? And he was into I heard them talk about the telepathy tapes in one of these emails or something like that.
Right.
And like I said, maybe that goes to his breeding program.
No, but he wanted him to say that it was just a psychic, like it was just a mental, like it was just, you're tripping.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He wanted him to discredit it. He wanted him to go out and put a campaign against it and say, and so I looked up the guy and I said, what is his take on out-of-body experiences? He says it's 100% just a mental thing that happens to people that they think happens. It's just all in your head. It's not real.
Oh, I disagree.
So he did go out. Yeah, I do too. And you're right. Epstein was into that. But my point is that he clearly wanted other people not to be into that, right? For some reason.
Well, maybe so people won't be looking at him with the stuff he's doing. Oh, look at Epstein's out there, maybe he wants it discredited to the public. So the public doesn't believe it's real. So when rumors start spreading that he's trying to breed these supernatural MK Ultra sex kittens for his personal harem,
Exactly.
People go, oh, that's too far-fetched.
No, exactly. I think you're right. And
no way.
There's so his hands are in everything. I mean, it's crazy. And there's so much more to kind of go through with this, but I know we're kind of getting towards the lower end of time.
So I have a question though.
Yeah, go ahead.
And this is what I have a hard time understanding. It's almost like Epstein is a character like Elon Musk. So I'll tell you what I mean. Elon Musk, it says he runs 5 different companies. Do you really believe that? Absolutely not. And here you have all these files with Epstein appears to have every hand in the cookie jar. And you're like, how can he even do that? There's got to be some type of team behind him that's doing some of this, because I don't know how he does it all by himself.
No. Yeah, he's the front man, 100%, just like Elon. And we know that. And, I don't know and that just means that it gives what we're talking about a lot more credence as far as this global elite satanic pedophile ring The guy's name was Lawrence Krauss.
Power
Oh,
has
shit.
taken
This guy's name was Lawrence.
legally those who
shit.
fight against.
Lawrence Krauss. And here's the 2018 email
Mhm.
just to kind of show that. Lawrence, can you pen an article on how to debunk claims, alien abductions? Oh, I wonder why he would want to do that, having to do with Zorro Ranch.
Right? You know, I
Many
actually
people's-
wondered about
go
alien
ahead.
abductions.
No. You're good.
Oh, no, I wonder about alien abductions.
What?
I mean, what if that's our own tech? And where they're really taking them is to these like underground facilities, and they think they're on a UFO, but they're actually in a man-made facility somewhere else.
Oh, dude, I thought I implied that earlier. That's definitely what I think.
That's what you think?
I've thought that for years, man. I think that's 100% because whenever you look into what's the guy's name? The dude with the fire in the sky, Travis Brown. I think his name is Travis Brown. He's the guy who like was the logger and he got hit with the radiation and he got sucked up and everybody, said that he was disappeared for hours and came back. This is all stuff we could do. The radiation burns is stuff that would happen from, we were messing with radioactive radiation technology when we created the nuclear bomb. And during that same time that we did that and successfully did that, they say that UFOs started appearing and UFO tech all of a sudden seemed to hit the scene. So I've always thought that what they did was they took the technology from the Nazis, brought it here, worked on it. Right after, World War II, you see Roswell crash, that the nuclear, technology is there. And then you hear about people getting probed and it seems more like because they have to be hypnotized in order to remember. Now, if you know anything about hypnotizing, it's kind of like having a dream. When you go into your hypnotic state and you relive traumatic memories, you come back out of your hypnotic state and you don't remember what you just remembered. And then your therapist has to tell you what you just regressed, right? So they can implant memories into these people and say it was an alien, right? So
that's what you think it was?
Yeah, you don't know. You got to remember these psychologists, hypnotists work with the CIA. They do these hypnotizing experiment. And then my silent weapon shit, I went all into this. UFO, all of it.
I think
Maybe
you're
there's
onto
some
something.
alien.
I think you're onto something. I mean, that makes perfect sense. Like, all right, we're going to do a regression on you. And then you get under and, maybe they find out what actually happened, but then they go, oh yeah, it was aliens and you got sucked up into the UFO.
Yeah, and then you remember now. Now you're like, that is what happened. And then you have this whole memory because you got to remember they're telling you this while you're in a hypnotic state. Yeah. So you're going to have a core memory now that's not real. And I can prove this by showing an article where they said that we can implant memories into people's brains. And the way they're doing it is exactly like that. And it reminds me of the fourth kind. Or the fifth kind. Remember that one where the dude's levitating off the bed and he keeps going to the psychologist and she's trying to get into his dreams and he says the alien keeps coming to his room and shit. All of that, like that's what I'm talking about. That all seems to be what we're talking about here, but it's not aliens. If at very most it's entities that they're accessing in these rituals while they do it, or they're doing it through mechanical means so they can perfect it. So they can then do it through AI like they are now. And that's what I think they did was perfected whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah. It's definitely I think everything points to that, especially the AI that's going on.
Mm-hmm. That's a fact. All right. So I do want to mention this one. We could pull it up, but this is what you brought up. George Bush, the raping on the yacht. This is EFTA 01246049. I won't bring it up right now, but it talks about ritualistic sacrifice, cutting his feet. And of course, the cops were like, oh, well, he doesn't have scars on his feet, so he's probably full of shit. And, he could have just added, like, maybe he was told to add that little extra thing in just to kind of discredit himself. Who knows, dude? We don't know how deep this goes. And so, but the running themes that we see from the book, Program to Kill, is what he says he witnessed these people do. Like you mentioned, with the babies and the intestines and the decapitations and all these different things. There's young children in the book, Program to Kill, that describe these same things that kids would never be exposed to unless they really saw it. Things that no kid would think of in their wildest dreams, necrophilia, acrophilia, all these different things that what? Like, come on, these are children. And then they're displaying sexual, like acting sexual and shit, and they're like very young. I mean, this is just abnormal behavior, but it's over and over and over again.
You know, it's weird that they gaslight all these children, and for the most part, the general public buys it hook, line, and sinker, and they don't ask themselves the question, well, how does this 5-year-old even know what this is?
Right. No, exactly.
Right?
They just
And
say,
it's
oh, they're
over
young,
and
and they're
over.
yeah. They just blame them on like their age and their imagination. It's like,
You can't imagine
that's
that's a little
fucking
kid.
yeah, dude. That's pretty accurate imagination, dude. They shouldn't even understand because they could accurately describe human viscera. I don't even know what viscera is. Apparently,
either,
it's something
actually.
inside of your body that like lines your. And they knew how to describe that. I don't even. I'm a grown man, and I couldn't describe that to you. So how could a child do it? So
Well,
there's
then they
just
found
things
out in
you-
another, what's it called? Another study or another investigation, there actually were tunnels underneath
yes,
that school.
yes, they had an
And
independent. Yep. And they didn't enter it into the court case, even though the court case wasn't done yet for the McMartin school. Very wild.
It
Now,
is interesting that they're covering all of these up, but they're releasing the Epstein Files.
yep, exactly. So, what else was oh yeah. So you remember the World's Fair? The World's
Mhm.
Fair, like, so do you know anything about the Jewish festival that happened at the World's Fair in Chicago?
I do, but that clip is taken out of context.
Right. Tell me,
Where they,
please, though.
well, it looks like they're sacrificing a child to Moloch, and that's actually a small piece of a longer performance, which is like Jewish history.
Yes.
So it was an entire play of it. And if you read the Old Testament, there's definitely times where people were sacrificing their children to Moloch.
yes.
So it's part of the greater one, but it still happened.
No, definitely. My point was just going to be that, you have the same time as Weimar Germany and Hitler's Germany, and you have them coming here, and it's this revelation of the method is what I see it as. It may just be about all of Jewish history, but it's still this idea that they're bringing it, this new world order, man. That's exactly, I think that it encapsulates that aspect too. But also, like you said, yeah, it goes all the way back thousands of years ago. We know that they were sacrificing to bulls, not to bulls, that was retarded, to Moloch, to, a large bull idol. And then they do it reenacting as soon as 1933. That's not that long ago. And so I don't think it's
Wait, that was
crazy.
1933?
Yeah. I don't
That's
think
the
it's
same year as the Havara Agreement.
exactly. That's my point. The same year. That's what I was saying. Weimar
Okay.
Germany, the Havara Agreement, the Bolshevik shit, and the creation of Israel.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's not by mistake. And that's why I'm like, we got to point that part out because that's important. And also to segue us into that, like we've talked about this whole time, we're talking about the manufacturing of something. And this is the purpose of the Epstein Files that we've talked about. Now, this is 15 minutes. We don't got to watch the whole
I
thing.
tend to steer it along with the achievement of a broader peace. When history is within reach.
So what Israel is fighting here is not merely a seven-front war, but an eight-front war.
For the Jews against Rome.
Rome and Jerusalem clashed over values with a great tragedy for the Jewish people.
Well, we lost that.
But the new Rome, the United States, the Jews against Rome.
We stopped playing defense and have moved to offense.
I think this lays a lot of his shit out in a context in a good way where it's like, dude, he's talking about Rome, the war with Rome. He's calling America Rome. They think they're the new Jerusalem. I mean, you see a little video here, a little video there, and you kind of forget. But when you see it all together, it's like, yeah, that's what the fuck's probably a big part of this is going on. This
Well, I
war
would
with
say
America.
the war, then it would be against the people. Because the one thing I always love, I like to post on Candace Owens' Instagram is that, the picture of the Pope wearing that stupid fish hat with a giant Star of David on it or a
Mhm.
Star of Remphan on it.
Yeah.
So like I said, I always wonder how much of this is just political theater. And it's really not against the institutions, but against the people in general.
Yes, exactly. And it reminds me of Ezekiel when they talk about when God's like, oh, go there and put feces in the bread and they won't notice and everything else. that's what they're doing to us. You know what I mean? They're doing
Yeah.
those things, the things that like God said to do to these people that turned away from God, they're doing to us, even though they're the most ungodly and they're the ones
Yeah.
that, but they're projecting that to us and doing what God said to do to them, to us. I mean, really, that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
As I read more into that, I was like, holy shit, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'll tell
Same
you
thing
one
with the
thing.
Muslim. They called out the Muslims in there too, where they're like, look, he faces his back to me and bows to the sun and everything. And I know Muslims were, or the new Islam was kind of a creation of Catholicism and everything, but and
Isn't that
it's
wild?
it's all two Babylons, Alexander Weishaupt kind of thing, but or Hislop.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No, I
no,
think it's
crazy.
one big excuse my French, gangbang of
Mhm.
all these bloodlines. And that's why I always like to talk about Deuteronomy 32 and also the Table of Nations. All the descendants of Noah that are not in the Jesus line that were out intermarrying with these Nephilim. And we know that they were called Raphaim, are the giants after the flood. And we know that these giants had offspring that had six
Yeah.
fingers and six toes. And we know that all these other descendants of Noah that aren't in the Jesus line were intermarrying with all these people. I mean, there's literally a descendant of Noah named Ashkenaz, the son of Gomer.
Mhm.
And what you find out in Deuteronomy 32, and this is how I really view how the world works. Now, I think a pyramid might be the wrong way to say it, but there's definitely certain bloodlines that have more power than the other. But according to Deuteronomy 32, when God created the nations, he created the number to the sons of God, right? And these are the B'nai Elohim. These are these fallen gods to rule over each one of them. And the Bible calls them powers and principalities. So
Mhm.
the world, biblically speaking, is broken down as far as the satanic control, the capos of Satan in this, fallen angel mafia. They're responsible for certain regions over the earth. And in those regions, you have these bloodlines that carry out their orders. It's really set up like the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly.
But they
The
want you to blame
wheel.
one person. They want you to blame one group because what does that do? Fulfills the prophecy.
Mhm. No, exactly. Uh, so I also noticed everybody's pointing out the Ball bank account.
Oh, you saw that? That's wild.
Yeah, I saw Ian Carroll try to point out that it was just BAA1, but I guess that would still kind of, I mean, come on, close enough. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
right.
It's
It's
like,
like
what's
it's
the
like the
difference?
CERN sign with 666.
Yes,
You
exactly.
know?
Yeah. So yeah, we're dealing with it. It's the same shit, dude. It's crazy. I want to make sure I
All,
didn't miss anything
all
in
you
here.
gotta
Go ahead.
do is look at the temple on his island, the Temple of Solomon,
Mm-hmm.
which is like a Freemason's wet dream.
Yes.
Um, they're super into that stuff, right? So these guys, this is what I would call, I guess you use anything. These people might be Jew by bloodline, and we don't even know that, but they definitely do not worship the Most High God. They
No.
definitely are worshiping these fallen deities, and you can just look at the stuff on his island. You can just look at everything. And I think it's nuts when you think about it. This world is so crazy when you think about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to that point, with Trump in the ballroom and it looking like Solomon's temple when you look at it aerially, like above looking at it. And then also you have the triumphal arch that he wants to put in DC, which is literally the Arch of Baal. And they have the same one in France, which has heavy, what would you call it? Globalist or Illuminati ties.
Yeah. It's
It's
interesting.
all coming to fruition out right in the open.
Oh, someone pointed at this. Who's the guy that wrote Morals and Dogma?
Yeah,
The
Albert Pike.
Freemason. How funny is it that what statue they actually brought back in DC under Trump's administration?
Mm-hmm.
The Albert Pike statue.
Mm-hmm. I know. Nobody peeped that. It's like, hello, and
Everybody's
so
like,
you
oh
got
no. God.
no. I mean, you got Abraham Lincoln, who is friends
Yeah.
with the equal to Albert Pike, was a Grand Master Mason of the Northern District of America named Abraham Jonas, who was very good friends with Abraham Lincoln, who made Joseph Smith the Mormon a Mason on site So this guy fought for the Confederate side. And this is the type of shit. So then why is Lincoln sitting like Zeus inside of the Washington, D.C. area just like that? Because he is a part of the same thing. As much as we like to idolize him, like he had nothing to do with it, then why is he rubbing shoulders with people that are they're all in this together? So.
All of them, right? We know how this Masonic system of governance works, right? And especially we have real-time, evidence of this. Unless you're part of these groups, they don't allow you to climb the political ladder, and they'll stack it against you. They'll overly fund the other person and target you. So you got to just assume that anybody in the federal, in the Senate or in Congress, to a certain extent, are bought and paid for and pretty much sold their soul.
Yes, kind of have to. So I guess we'll leave it with this one because this is pretty fucking crazy. Dynamic sexual sessions. So there's some kind of like academy, I guess, that he had or he was a part of in some weird way. And it was about like people's sexual deviances and rating on a scale of like where you're at or something.
What?
Yes. Yeah, it gets weird. I'm Esther Cohen Teaser Epstein. If you're receiving this, you're receiving this because you are a convicted sex offender required by law to monitor, control, and maintain your sexual deviance, or an extraordinary citizen who can benefit from having your sexual deviance monitored, explored, and amplified. Now, either way, myself, my common law husband, John Benet, client. Whoa, is this related to you? Have you seen this stuff with John Benet Ramsey going missing because of Epstein? Do you think that? I'm gonna have to.
It might be if they said the name John Benet.
What the fuck? People have pointed it out for another reason that he had something to do with that because he was I guess Ghislaine Maxwell was recruiting from the same school she was at, or no, the same beauty pageant she was at. Ghislaine Maxwell worked with, and so there's that thing. But then look at this John Benet client. Anyway, this will help you achieve all your sexual deviance goals. So this isn't like a school to keep you from being sexually deviant. This seems to be something to help you be sexually deviant that he's a part of. Needless to say, we all have significant daddy issues. It says, drop by for a dynamic sexual healing session at blank offered by the Bowles School of Nourishment and Healing, successor to the Jeffrey Epstein Foundation. Individual sessions will measure not only your level of sexual arousal to deviant stimulus, but also give girth, volume, spin, drop, amount of English on the ball, refraction, thrust, temperature, skin tone, alignment. They're just making a joke about the rotation of the earth as well.
Dude.
It says, wait a minute, lady, what qualifies you to take over this prestigious foundation? It says, good question. I was born and raised, listen to this. I was born and raised in a family that valued sexual exploration and accepted and even celebrated sexual deviance. My grandmother was known as the Black Hole of Bialystok and serviced Cossacks, Black Russians, White Russians, and anyone and everyone as long as they could pay. So she was a prostitute. Mm-hmm. And in the 1950s, Atlanta, my mother offered husbands stress release sessions in the alley behind the drugstore. These are great names for sex acts. While my father gave abortions to the girlfriends or wives. I wonder what they did with those kids. It was a family. I mean, that's really the sick part. What the fuck happened to the kids from the abortion? Anyway, It was a family joke that we got clients coming and going. Wow, that's fucked up. Of course, like the many teenagers, I rebelled from my family. And so as it goes, it talks about you have a great gift. Get on your knees and show me this gift. Okay. But she gets into talking about working with Epstein or something with Epstein. Here it is. When Divine Madness expanded into a ranch in Reserve, New Mexico, we became neighbors to educator, entrepreneur, and philanthropist Jeffrey Epstein, who had bought the Zorro Ranch. He said he was intrigued by the recruitment methods, and Yo sent me as an ambassador. Jeffrey was tall, handsome, rich, and magnetic. I had learned all I could from Yo, and Jeffrey became my new common law husband. He adopted me, my teenage daughter, and her friends as his own, flying them in private jets, taking them snorkeling in the Caribbean, and introducing them to VIPs. These people are VIPs to his thing. Alan Dershowitz, Prince Andrew, and President Clinton. I became part of a coven of very empowered, confident, and successful women recruiters. I used all the recruiting techniques developed to. Okay, so let's get down here.
Did she use the word coven? Like a
Yes, she
witch's
was in a
coven?
witch's. Exactly. No, exactly. She's from a witch's coven. And you'll see that that's true as we go, because
Yeah.
this next couple paragraphs lays that out. Still, I wanted more from Jeffrey Epstein, and he was often distant and dismissive of me and my feminine charms. One night, as the sun set over Little James Island, I stood in the room where Jeffrey had received a therapeutic massage from one of my daughter's friends. The room was covered in Genius's seed. Wow. So okay, which was going to waste. I had an inspiration and asked the chef to bring me an extra large turkey baster, and in a beautiful fertility ritual, created my youngest daughter.
With Epstein's semen?
Seed from his daughter's friend, from her daughter's friend, because you got to remember that came from the massage with her daughter's friend, and then she couldn't let that seed go to waste. I mean, this is really sick. At first, Jeffrey was furious, but this is where it gets crazy. But I pointed out that by staggering daughters every 8 years, he would always have a supply of ripe girls at his disposal. He bought me a house and got my oldest daughters into blank by donating $50,000 to their gender studies program, and paid for my youngest daughter to attend blank. And all she had to do was send him a pint of Mormon blood every week. Thank you,
Was
Jeffrey.
she
You helped
Mormon?
me. I don't know. I don't know how they get the Mormon blood.
Dude.
Thank
But
you,
the
Jeffrey.
Mormons
You
are
helped.
occult- Go on.
No, sorry.
Well, I said the Mormons are very occult too. It's a very Masonic religion.
They are. I don't understand why he would want Mormons' blood. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Maybe he's like, we got to find out if they're more real, like Hebrew, than we are.
Yeah.
So finally, this part here is kind of important. Thank you, Jeffrey. You helped me help so many people and gave me the Italian marble tiles in my kitchen and a ranch of my own to continue the great work. Now, I don't know about you, but I talk about the great work on here a lot. It's a Freemasonic term, especially whenever you capitalize the front or the first letter of both words. It has a godly, spiritual aspect to it. Yeah, I should have went back in there just to see who sent that and where to see if it looks real or not. But
Yeah.
let me
But
go
you know
back
what?
to that.
You know what really makes sense though is that this is a generational thing.
Mhm.
That her mother was a hooker or something like that, or her grandmother was a hooker. Like clearly, she did not grow up in any remnants of a a healthy household, and it just
No.
shows you that it's generational and it hurt other people,
Holy
and
shit.
this is all part of these bloodlines' goals.
So, wait a minute. Does this say this is from Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't know.
Why would the letter Tizer Epstein? I guess she became like a wife of his in a way, but what is this letter? Why is it getting sent? Isn't this weird?
Yeah.
Who knows?
All this is
This
weird.
could be some fuckery. This could be fuckery from 2022. We don't know. But that was a fucking compelling ass fucking. That was
Yeah.
compelling.
Well, she's
Oh
sending.
shit! There's a
well, she's-
picture of her.
That's her.
Damn. Yeah,
There you
dude.
go. She's got some heavies.
Yeah, dude. Some heavy.
But
before a group training exercise in Bali. Holy shit, dude. You know what the training exercise and the
Yeah.
group sessions are. Oh, fuck.
so correct me if I'm wrong. In this letter,
This was, no, go
What?
ahead. This was just a brochure that was sent in that letter from the Cohen Epstein family to your family. That's why it was from him. Go ahead.
okay. So she was bringing her daughters or her daughters' friends to Epstein every single month,
Yeah, dude, there's a little girl behind him right here.
dude.
You see that?
Yeah. Looking down.
Dude. Holy shit. That might be one of the most compelling, heinous things I've ever heard or seen out of all these files. Thank you, Ryan Gable. He's been on the show a couple times. He mentioned that EFTA document, and I was like, I have to bring that one up tonight.
Yeah.
'Cause that was fucking crazy. I don't know. Everybody just does their part. There's 3 million fucking documents.
Yeah.
We'll get it all out there. And then imagine the 3 million that they kept, because there was apparently 6.5 million in all or some shit.
I think what they
Crazy.
haven't given us, right? There is
That's my
probably
point.
so many that they haven't given us. All the redactions and the ones they did give us, I think maybe a couple of them weren't, but they were carefully selected for their major objective, which, what we talked about all the time. It's just this fulfillment of prophecy, and it's coming whether we want it or not.
Yep.
And I don't know, right now is the time to abide in the Lord and ask for forgiveness.
Yeah. For
I
real.
need that. Because
For
it's going to
real.
get real. It's going to get real. That's what I'm saying. There are trillions of dollars, multi-generations that are enacting this plan. And if you think they're going to give up or they're just going to stop because the people, become aware of it. And the crazy part of it is people coming aware of it. It's all part of the plan.
That's the crazy part. The reaction is also a part of the plan. Yeah. And that's something
Yeah.
I got hip to not long ago. And I've been really heavy on that with everything that's been coming out. Like, always remember the reaction is a part of the plan. So don't react, analyze, process, and figure out what the fuck they want the reaction to be, and then go forward and, whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think this was a fire deep dive. I think we got,
I loved it.
we get, it's a little different than how everybody else is probably doing it. I'm trying to give some real
Because
contextual information.
we're giving like the real take on it, right?
Yes.
Like people look at it at the surface level, like they're discovering this stuff.
Mhm.
And the one thing I noticed is, and I fall under this category, right? I think the entire modern conspiracy movement is 100% astroturf, right?
Mhm.
And you just have to go back to QAnon,
Yep.
and what was their saying? Leaving Israel for last, which just lines up perfectly
Wow.
with biblical prophecy.
Yes, and it is an Israel fucking operation. Q. That was proven too. Fuck, that's been proven too in these documents now, which is crazy that people are still going with Q. There's still people pushing it, and it's like, yo, this was just now proven that that's not, But
let me tell you something. The Q people, they have some of the best faith I've ever seen in my life. I don't know how the ones that are still around pushing this stuff, you're just like, what is going on here?
I think a lot of them are evangelicals.
Yeah,
I do. I think a lot of them are evangelical Christians. And so the faith is so strong within them already. You can't shake them. You know what I mean? You can't fucking shake them. So yeah. And one thing that the conspiracy movement needs to get back into is focusing on digging into real shit, and like it used to be that like the mainstream story would have holes in it. And people would scientifically break down, like, this is what the fuck it really is. These guys got connections. There's money here. There's money there. And there's a little bit of that still going on. But a lot of it is, I read a CIA document and I'm just going to believe everything it says. We're going to lose gravity for 7 seconds in a couple months. And then that gets millions of views. And nobody's paying attention to what's really going on because you have so many people doing that sensationalist bullshit. And I get Bill Cooper's frustration when he was alive, when Alex Jones did this, because I see it all the time now and it's fucking crazy.
Yo, the lizards. And, technically, that's a secular play on something very biblical. When I'm in my mobile ministry, as I call it, Uber, and I talk to these people, I use real life examples. I'm like, I'm sure you guys have heard of the whole idea that shape-shifting reptilians run the world. Well, what if I told you that's just a secular way of saying that? Because if you look into the types of angels there are, right? One's called the seraphim when they came down here on that Mount Hermon thing, which literally means serpent-like, So all this is derived from our ancient past. I think in order to understand what's going on now, you need to understand our ancient past.
Yes.
And pretty much everything they feed us today is BS.
Always. Faking gay. Thanks so much, Ben. I'm gonna have to hook you up with Paul Stobbs sometime, dude. I think that you guys would have a great conversation too. He's super. All he does is biblical kind of conspiratorial history, kind of like you. And I think you guys would have a great talk. That'd be awesome to see. But yeah, man, it's great as always. Love having you on. You come on whenever, and I'll come on and throw down too whenever you want. Yeah.
So like I said, in 2 or 3 weeks, come on my show and we'll do it. And thank you for having me on here. Like I said, every time I talk, I think we just have not blowing smoke up our own ass, but I just think we have such a fluid conversation.
Me too.
And it just bounces off perfectly. We see the, world similarly. And Thank you
I'm
for
gonna go
having me
to
on. Let's do it.
I'm gonna go to the chat at the end of this, give you guys some, talk to you guys for a second, give you some love and feedback. And otherwise, Ben, maybe if you got a free schedule, a couple days a week, you come co-host, man. You come be
Hey.
on the 6G, dog. You could be my guy if you want.
Yeah, we will see. Right now I'm still working full time, unfortunately, in
Me too.
California.
Yeah.
Inflation is getting up there.
Yeah, dude,
but
I've been fucking working I work like full time, so like 60, 70 hours a week, like 6-7 days, and then doing this. It's been a lot. So I get it, man. It's definitely real out there.
yeah. Well, Jeezy, Mark, thank you for tuning in.
Jeezy
And,
Max, our dog, dude.
Yeah. Thank you for checking out my show there. When I turned into a Democrat.
Well, here's the thing,
deal.
dude. We're all progressives at heart. We all want everybody to have a better life and better progressive values and things like that. It's been weaponized against us into this leftist, crazy, anti-God, anti-creation thing. And now we've been forced into the right, which has always been about authoritarianism, more control, more censorship. And we're believing that there are saviors when in reality, it's not the case. Sorry, but that's my view on that.
Yeah. And the reason why I do focus a lot on the Republican Party and I focus on Donald Trump a lot is because the Republicans or should I say conservatives, have a healthy distrust in the government. They're more likely to be conspiracy theorists, right? And I see them falling for the trap of the Republican Party. And maybe I shouldn't say this, but I just looked at the left and they're so just mind controlled and bots and all that
they're
type of
all
stuff.
crazy.
It's like whatever, dude. They're irrelevant to me, right? So right now we have Trump and the Palantir world order. So, but to your point, it's two wings of the same bird.
Yeah, notice I said progressive values. I didn't say we're all Democrats at heart here. I said we all have some progressive values, right? Like that's very different than saying, well, Democrats are right most of the time. It's just, so.
Oh, he's talking about the deportation of illegal immigrants.
Oh, yeah. Well, that needs to happen, but in a different way.
Yeah.
It just needs to. Go ahead.
But I've really come to this now. And I really believe this, and whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know. But clearly everything that's going on right now, God is seeing, if you believe in a creator. And he's really, he's okay with it for a reason. He's using this for a reason, right? So when it comes to anything political, especially with these, immigration stuff, I really take no stance on it, right? Because I see both sides of the argument. I see that, if you want a, safety net country, you can't import 40 million people. And I also understand, I can understand why you're pissed off about it. But on the same token, I see what they're doing. They're desensitizing us to this type of police state. They're ushering in the surveillance state.
That's the point.
And that's the point. So that's why I take,
point.
And
that's the part nobody, and that's the part, maybe they just hear it. I'm not even talking about Jeezy anymore. I'm just saying in general, people will hear this one thing that hits them because again, we've been programmed with these hot button reactions. As soon as you hear a keyword, you're like, you're like, that guy sounds like a leftist now. And it's like, just take a minute. The point of it is it's being utilized to usher in a police state, replacement migration, the whole thing. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, always amazing. Thank you so much, Ben. And we'll see you soon, dude.
Let me do a shameless plug real quick.
Please.
If you enjoyed this live, check me out on YouTube. It's End of the World's with an S news. And if you want some short form stuff, check me out on Instagram at End of the World News, no S. And there I make 3-minute videos, but I'm trying to build up the YouTube channel. So tune in.
I will put the links as well in the show description for Spotify and this later. And also, we're trying to build up that YouTube here. We're almost to monetization. So you guys, play in the background or something, we'll get there quick. Just saying. But it's a little bit of uphill battle. But once you get there, I feel like then you can kind of, because I've had people hit me up and are like, how come I can't give you hype points or whatever? And I'm like, because I can't do anything on YouTube yet,
Yeah.
I would imagine that when they can do that, it'll help though,
Yeah.
So dude, we gotta help each other out.
Yeah, well. All right. Well, thank you, sir, for having me on. I got Bible study tonight.
Yes, sir. All right, I'll see you later.
Can I just close this? Is that how it works, or I'd have to log off?
No, you can just X out. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right, I'll see
guys,
you later.
And everybody in the chat, thank you and God bless, and thank you and God bless. And you'll come on my show in 3 weeks.
Yep, about it.
Let's do a date and we'll get it locked in.
Sounds good. I'll see you later.
Peace.
Peace. just a quick scroll through the chat here, give you guys a little feedback. It was a little bit of a banger deep dive. I hope you guys liked it. Yeah, I had so much information. I could have went for like 4 hours. I may have to do a second parter to this, possibly, mostly about the program to kill. I think that the context behind that from David McGowan is very important. RIP to him. That guy he had his hand on the pulse of some shit. He's gone now, but yeah, welcome in Alquium, Neff Hunter, Cake in a Cup, Birdman, what's up? The files have been heavily redacted. We just get to see what they want us to. Exactly. I mean, there's plenty of files that haven't been released. Notice how the media say it is Satanist doing this, never saying the chosen ones worship what we all call Satan. Yeah, that's a fact. Fuck yeah. Do you guys think any of the chosen ones have ever sacrificed a lesser chosen one to suit their own agenda? Well, I'd imagine, because JFK might be an example of that. You know, his family was involved with these, what you could call the cabal or Illuminati, and he was kind of their sacrificial lamb to an extent. Now, people argue that he turned against Israel and everything else, but you know, that's just kind of a newer development. And again, remember the manufacturing of the prophecy. You never know. J5, I have a passport that never got stamped, and the last time I entered Australia, no customs at all. Holy shit. They don't do customs in Australia? No way. They definitely do now. What do we got here? They want the Abrahamic religions to go to war against each other. Christianity, Islam, and Judaism in order to get rid of them and establish their one world religion. Neff Hunter, that's what we talk about on here all the time, bud. That's exactly right. It's exactly right. They also name drop everyone, whether it was just an unproven tip from someone or someone. Exactly. And that's kind of the context I was trying to lay here a little bit, which is like, hey, don't discredit ourselves by, you know, believing everything we read and see. Let's look at what's real, what's not, what's kind of like in the middle, and just not be controlled by people, because that's clearly a tactic of this. I'll go kind of to the bottom. I got to look more into Kathy O'Brien stuff, because now all of her shit has a lot more credence to it, especially now. So these conversations are going to have to be had again. Cutting her 20 minutes or so. Yeah. More blind and deaf women giving lectures and discovering new things while being able to speak in 4 different languages, but unable to speak because of lifelong deaf. What is that referring to? Well, that was a while ago. I'll go down to the bottom, see what y'all talking about. Deport the legal ones that have no qualifications or don't have a firm grasp on the English language and have assimilated. I think you meant illegal ones, I would imagine. But yeah. Yeah, this was a fun one. I'll be back on here. What day is today? Friday live. It'll be about 5-6 o'clock Friday live. Thank you guys so much. And we'll either continue on some of this, maybe a little bit more of the program to kill, kind of go back over that, or we'll just get into our next topics. We got plenty of shit coming down the pike. And so thank you again, as always. And I'll see you all Friday. Peace out.